Alright, listen still. Dude, I'm fucked. I'm never gonna get any work done. This is all fucked. I need to. Okay, so this is what I have on my thing. Before I can, like, really get, like, engaged with my streaming schedule and do all the shit we're supposed to do, I need to finish the Facebook page. I need to finish my Patreon account. I need to get my subreddit themes. I need to get work done on my subreddit to bring it more in line with how my site works and to make it so that I can assign flair to people based on their level of subscription on my site. Um, and then I need to record that final YouTube video. This is like probably 6 hours of work. I have to do this, and we're putting it all off. We're cucking ourselves.
Greater than work. WEOW nice meme.
Reddit is removing CSS linker ban. What, YouTube video? I was gonna make a big video about all this stuff. I just need to record it now. I've got most of it here. I need to run through and make a rough draft of how I want it to look. So I need to organize all of this in terms of what I'll be talking about.
Wish me happy
and then I need to
birthday
record
less
it. Happy
than
birthday
3.
less than 3. I have a thing on my face. I don't know what it is. It's like worrying me. It doesn't hurt. It's not like a. It doesn't hurt like if it was a pimple or something. But it's like it just appeared yesterday and now it's growing. Do you see this? What if it takes over my entire face? I don't know what the fuck it is. What if it's fucking cancer? Or maybe it'll go away in a day or two? I don't know. Is it a bite? It's not itchy or anything. I wouldn't know it's on my face if it weren't from yours. Like, okay, I'm talking to a dude. I don't know why or over what. Good luck. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. All right. We talked a little on Twitter, and you wanted to talk to me, or I wanted to talk to you. I'm not even sure. I don't remember, but here we are.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself briefly, just so people have an idea of who you are, relevant background, or anything?
Well, I don't want to give away any personal information, but what I will say is I'm a reactionary, a traditionalist in my politics, and I'm a Catholic, and I guess I could be described as a ethno-nationalist.
Gotcha.
And basically, I've watched a lot of your videos where you debate people, and the reason I guess I'm drawn towards it is because I've always liked these type of open debates, and while you do provide this platform for people to come debate you, I feel like you also use a lot of trickery in your debates. You're not entirely honest, and your intellectual ability allows you to get away with this and trick people into thinking that you have the correct positions.
Okay. I guess so. Starting off for the first thing, I'm curious. What intellectual trickery do you think I employ to gain an advantage on, I guess, otherwise incapable people?
Well, I feel one of the main tricks you do is you refer to experts up for things a lot. So you'll, for instance, you'll say, oh, well, I don't know about this subject, and I'm not an expert, and you're not an expert, so neither of us can have an opinion on this, and we're just going to have to go along with what these experts say on something like economic globalization or like the minimum wage or whatever it is. You kind of just defer to people in higher positions, you defer to authority, and then you kind of block out attempts for people when they try to argue against it. You kind of just tell them that they don't know a lot about what they're talking about.
Do you think that it's unfair to refer to expert opinion in a field when you're talking about a specific field?
No, I don't feel it's unfair, but if someone's already done the research and they have the knowledge in that field to debate you about it, I don't feel that you should try to shut down opponents just by appealing to authority. It's a logical fallacy.
Sure, I guess I could understand this to some extent, but by and large, usually when people are trying to argue about like particular stats and numbers, these people usually have a very, very poor understanding of how statistics actually work.
No,
Um,
I don't doubt that. I view the average person as something of an inch.
sure.
Sorry, that's a very arrogant thing to say, but I don't view the average person as very intelligent. So I don't think the average person maybe should be um
Sure, and I feel like
trying to
when
take
I
on these expert roles. But I feel
sure,
there are people that can take on these expert roles
it's
that aren't experts.
it's possible, and if I'm talking to a person who presents themselves as such, I'll usually defer to their judgment on things, or I'll normally move into asking questions. But I do not believe that people like Sargon come even remotely close to filling these roles. I consider these people to be laymen of the worst type, in that they don't really have an eye for statistics. They don't understand how to interpret data, and oftentimes they're engaging in malicious or nefarious dissemination of information that isn't done responsibly.
Well, yeah, with Sargon, I would completely agree. He's someone that checks all the boxes of the most boring political ideology. He basically just repeats what he hears from. It's not even that he repeats it, but he gives out the same talking points of something from like Fox News or something like that. He thinks he's an alternative to the mainstream, but in reality, he's just as much conforming to it as pretty much everyone else. And this brings me to another topic that I feel is relevant to you. I feel that you pick opponents, maybe not even purposefully, but it ends up this way that you pick opponents without a lot of political knowledge or meta political knowledge oftentimes.
I mean, I was trying to reach out to popular and influential people, right? That's where Lauren Southern came from. That's where Sargon of Akkad came from. That's where Jontron came from. And then other than that, I'll just talk to people who want to chat. I understand that there is some selection bias there, right? You could maybe put forth the argument that the only person dumb enough to debate a video game streamer is going to be stupid, by default, right? That's totally valid. I mean, there is some selection bias there. It's not like I'm going into the halls of Harvard and picking out their top debaters or whatever. But I mean, I try to pick whoever is interested from a multitude of platforms. I've picked people off of Reddit, I've picked people off of Twitter, I've found people off of YouTube. I mean, if there's any way for me to get access to higher level people, and I have talked again, Lawrence Southern and Sargon of Akkad are very popular people that have very relevant political opinions, such that they're influencing, hundreds of thousands or potentially millions of listeners. So,
Well, I don't think that because someone's popular, that means that they're intelligent.
of
I think
course not,
that's a
but they are.
fallacy in and of
Well,
itself.
yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But being popular means you are relevant, right? It's almost tautological, right? To become popular is to become relevant. To be relevant is to be popular. So I think that it's worth discussing the ideas that they share.
Yeah, these people that have all this influence, but they don't really know anything about politics or they're not quite intellectual. They need to be destroyed. That's for sure. I don't uh, disagree with you taking on these people. But I feel like I think I've heard you debate one guy before with some intellectual merit, and that was that Dr. Illusion guy. And I'm not just saying because I agree with him, obviously. I'm also saying it because he was the one that seemed to be able to explain his arguments the best. And I feel like you just completely shut down and you were debating him, and you didn't even try to have a back and forth with him after a
Yeah,
certain
typically
point.
when I'm talking with people that are really deep in like the race realist hole, I usually do. I'm a little bit more well read on it now, but yeah, I
Yeah,
figure that's probably the direction we're headed here. If you because you're in favor of an ethno state.
well, yeah, but the ethno state.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on. 1 second. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that, yeah, I argue for the ethno state on a more pragmatic grounds, a more eugenic grounds, but there are people that will make arguments for the ethno state um, not based on eugenics or what's best for society, just more so a moral ground. I reject that, but I'm just
Sure.
pointing out that that's not the only way to argue for the ethno state.
Sure. That guy also was typically like one of the fundamental axioms that I build all of my philosophy on is the idea that I would want people to treat me in the way that I treat them, and he rejected that axiom outright. He said that he was willing to accept being treated as less than human if he got access to what he considered pure ethno states, and his wife felt the same way. So there wasn't really much of a conversation or a debate I could really have with this person. Like if he's willing to accept, these things as being true, then there's not really. I mean, I can't really argue with him. But
Well, why not? I think that's one of the grand problems with the modern political discourse is that people are too interested in politics instead of metapolitics, so they won't even debate stuff like the different axioms that our opinions come from, and they'll just focus on unimportant details.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not sure if I'm. Typically, most people agree with certain fundamental axioms, like the treat other people as you would be treated. I would say the majority in society probably agrees with that. If somebody disagrees with that, then the type of conversation you have to have is like a very, very low level, fundamental type of conversation. And oftentimes, people that don't agree with you are people that I'm not how to say, like, I'm not very interested in their opinion anyway. Because these peoples are building philosophies on such radically different points of view that would make like global genocide or global war like acceptable or okay things that I don't know. It just seems, I don't want to say like wasted effort, but I mean it seems like wasted effort to try to talk to these most extreme types of people.
Well, yeah, and that's the easy way out because when I'm debating communists, the same thing happens to me. They're building this whole theory on the labor theory of value, of which I completely reject. So but I don't just say, oh, we're building from a different location here, a different starting point, different nexus. So well, I'm not even going to debate you. What I do is I try to figure out why they're starting from that nexus point, and I try to defect that so we can actually have a meaningful dialogue. And I feel like that's one of the things that you haven't done very well at all.
I mean, I try to do that depending on who I'm talking to. I guess it just depends. Like, if you're having a conversation about like communism versus capitalism, then that sounds like you're necessarily going to have to deconstruct your ideas until you reach these low-level things. But when I initially wanted to talk to that guy, I think it was supposed to be over things like immigration and whatnot. So when I find out that the conversation we need to have is actually like many, many, many times deeper than that, I kind of it just doesn't seem, I don't know, like a fruitful discussion. There have been times where I do address these really low level concepts, but I mean it's pretty rare that we get into those in conversations. But I guess we'll talk about them now if that's what you want to do.
Well, one thing I just want to point out that I don't know if you've even thought about
Mm-hmm.
the idea that you have to treat all people, that you have to treat people how you want to be treated isn't even incompatible with ethno-nationalism, because there's plenty of people that already have ethno-nationalism, particularly Asians and Africans, where they'll literally kill you if you're not particularly in Africa, they'll literally kill you if you're not a member of their tribe. So it's not like so when white people prefer multiculturalism, or that's what our societies are built around, that's not treating others as they treat us. That's diverging radically from the normative position.
I don't think I agree with this assertion. So if you have 5 people in a room and 4 of them have the treat others as they want to be treated as your fundamental axiom, I think that generally when you have that as an axiom, if somebody else disagrees with that, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to assume everything that they believe to be true. Let me see if I can find a better way to say this. So let's say that there's another guy. So as part of the fundamental axioms that I would use to construct my philosophy, right? One of them would be treat other people the way that you would want to be treated, right? That would be a fundamental axiom, right? Something that would stem from that axiom would be something along the lines of like, I think government should enforce this as rule of law, that other people shouldn't be able to infringe on the rights of other people. right? That would be like an extension of that axiom. So if there are other people that believe that they should be able to murder or kill somebody because they look different than them, I would reject their philosophy, and I would try to reject it via rule of law, like via government force or whatever, right? I wouldn't accept that. So just because they disagree with me on that point, doesn't, I guess, doesn't play in or whatever. Or sorry, can you what's your response to that?
Well, I think that there's a fundamental problem with what you're saying, and that is that you're assuming that all these different people have this philosophical access of which they base society, and it's completely false because philosophy is something that was created mostly by whites and Asians, and before that, every society was based on nothing more than the tribe. So
Sure,
to
I
say
don't
that because
disagree
you
with
have
that, but
to say that because you have this philosophical understanding that applies to all people or whatever is just completely false. It doesn't
well,
make any
no, well, what
sense.
I was just responding to the notion that you tried to make it sound like, well, other people might not share your philosophy, therefore your philosophy is invalid. It seemed like that was what you were trying to say.
No, I didn't say that your philosophy was invalid because other people don't share it. Tons of people don't share any of my philosophies. Yeah, I still think they're perfectly valid.
Okay, so what's the point in bringing up the fact that some people will kill you if you don't look like them in Africa or Asia or whatever?
Because you don't know that because maybe those people do have the value that they want to treat other people as or they want to be treated as they treat others or whatever, but maybe they don't view life the same way you do or whatever, so maybe they're perfectly fine with killing the weakest people if they try to degenerate the society or whatever.
Oh, sure, I think I understand what you're saying. So I would have to go further in. Well, let's take an example. Let's take an example of like a value system like that then, and see if my axiom would actually plug into theirs. So you're saying that that there could be an Asian guy, and the Asian guy sees or I'm sorry. Well, I'm not even going to use actual ethnicities. We'll say ethnicity A thinks that all of ethnicity B should be exterminated. Okay, but ethnicity A shares my fundamental axiom of saying that I believe that people A are inherently better than people B, and I understand this to be true. If I was people B, I would want to be exterminated, or I would understand, right? So you could technically say that he still has that treat others as they want to be treated, because he would just make the argument that if he was part of Group B, he would understand he's inferior and should be exterminated, kind of, or.
Well, it's not that if you were part of Group B, you would want to be exterminated, but it's that every group has divergent interests, and each one of those groups could think it was perfectly moral to exterminate the other, and that would not be in contradiction with your principle of treat others the way that you want to be treated.
Sure, gotcha. Okay, so then I would have to add, I guess I would add then another additional axiom then, that I believe that all people who are humans are fundamentally equal in terms of equally deserving rights and protections then. And then that would serve as a secondary axiom to the treat others as they would want to be treated then for my first one.
Okay, so now we're at the point of you treat all people equal. So now we're at an even deeper fundamental axiom. So now what you have to ask yourself is, why are we treating all people equal?
So for me personally, that usually stems from the desire for me to be treated. I don't know if I'm sorry, let me clarify this a little. I don't know if treated equally is the correct term, so much as treated with equal like equal inalienable rights, like right to life or right to property, or your right to exist without somebody else infringing on those rights is what I mean. I don't necessarily mean like treat every single person the exact same way, but more so treat everybody with equal protections under the law is essentially what I'm saying.
So now you believe in natural rights is what you're saying
Yeah,
then.
sure. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that would be the term, right? Where you believe
Okay,
that your
so
rights are derived from something greater than government or anything else, right? And the government only exists to protect these rights or whatever.
Okay, so I was actually under the impression that you were on the opposite side of this, and that you thought that the government granted rights and that natural rights weren't correct. And that's my position on it. There is no such thing as rights. All that rights are is a category that government creates for things that they allow their citizens to do. There's no such thing as a natural right to life. There's no such thing as a natural right to property. There's no such thing as a natural right to anything because like I said, rights are just an artificial category created by government for what they allow their citizens to get away with.
And that's what you believe, or are you arguing for that position, or that's a position that you're giving the arguments for?
Well, that's just a fact. It's not.
Okay.
It's not up for debate
Sure.
as
Well, there's
far as
like
I can tell.
you could argue like the philosophical versus the pragmatic, right? Like philosophically, we could say that rights come from some greater thing, but pragmatically, obviously, right? The government has to define them and give them to you. Otherwise, what does it matter if you have philosophical rights that the government doesn't recognize, right?
Well, yeah, precisely, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Like the idea of natural rights is completely invalid. There's nothing to prove it. It has no merit to it at all.
Oh, well, so I think that when you're talking philosophy, right, your government rights are going to be informed by what you believe the natural rights to be, right? So if we were if we were writing policy as a government and we said everybody should have the right to own a slave or something, right? Then we would believe that would be informed by what we believe natural rights to be, right? That slaves are inhuman or whatever. The slaves should be property, right? Or if we believe that everybody has a right to own an animal or something, right? That would we could trade, like you could derive somebody's natural rights to some extent based on government rights. Do you agree with that statement?
So the way that you're using the word rights is the way that I often hear a lot of libertarians use it, and there's in particular this group called Free Talk Live. They're like this anarcho-capitalist group, and I've had some conversations with them, and they give me almost this same exact argument that you're saying. They say that rights is just basically a category of morality, and that well, that's basically it. But so the problem with that is, why are you using the word rights when really what you mean is morality?
Why am I
Because
using
it's not
rights
like, yeah, because
in
it's not that you
regards
have a
to what?
it's not that you have a right to own slaves. It's that it's not immoral to own slaves. That would be the argument. So
I
I
guess
feel
like
like you're confusing terms here.
well, maybe, but it's also I feel like this is getting a little semantic for the sake of semantics. I mean, typically when we talk about rights, I think morality is very heavily implied, right? Like when somebody talks about and I'm not accusing you of being semantic. We can be semantic for the sake of this conversation, because I agree that defining terms is careful or is important, right, to having a productive conversation. But if like a normal person was saying that we have the right to life, right, they don't just mean in common parlance, right? They don't just mean that the government has given us the right to live. Usually there is a moral assertion behind that people are morally supposed to be granted a right to live, right? That usually the morality of that is usually heavily implied behind the word right. Generally is what I feel, right?
Well, okay. Not that I'm necessarily going to agree on it, but just for the sake of this conversation, I will accept that that basically you're using rights and morality as a synonym.
Sure.
So,
We can define it separately if you want. I'm okay with that, right? So a right is something that only comes from the government. A right is something expressly granted via policy or via government statement.
When is the
and
guy
then,
who is supposed to
morality is something different than that, right? So the right to life and the moral justification for having a right to life are two fundamentally separate things. Like I'm okay with that for this conversation if you want to.
yeah, that's basically what I was saying.
Sure, yeah,
So if we move on to the even deeper axiom. Where do you believe the morality comes from?
If you go too many levels deeper, I mean I can't really give you. I haven't solved philosophy, so I can't give you. I can't give you good answers. Because I mean, when you follow philosophy logically, as deep as I've ever gone, it all ends up being nihilistic to some extent, right? Some nihilistic deterministic thing that you can't really make strong arguments in favor of any particular thing. No.
Well, I actually wrote out a syllogism for this, but
Okay. Well, what is it? I'd be really curious to hear it.
okay. Let me pull it up real quick if I
Sure.
can find it. But basically, the argument is going to be that the only objective morality can come from a omniscient being, and that a omniscient being is God. So the only objective morality is going to come from a God. That's going to be the gist of it.
I agree with that, but there's an if in there. There's an if statement, right? If any objective morality would exist, it would necessarily have to come from a God. I agree with that, sure.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, do you want me to read you this syllogism?
You just kind of explained it, but yeah, you can read the formal, sure.
Okay, so a god is omniscient, therefore what a god says moral is and what a god says immoral is. So this is obviously presupposing the existence of a god,
Sure.
which I have no other choice to do here. So
Sure. But then my
all
problem would be that that you would have to get into other arguments in favor of, like, this is kind of a is it called post hoc rationalization, where you really want morality, but in order to get morality you have to invent a god to give it to you. Like, I think
right,
that,
right, but for this conversation,
mm-hmm,
basically what's gonna happen is once I give this syllogism,
mm-hmm.
it's gonna turn into moral nihilism anyway. So we'll be back at the starting point. But
Oh, okay.
so let me just
Yeah,
go
go
through
for it.
this real quick.
Sorry.
So a god is omniscient, therefore what a god says is moral is, what a god says immoral is immoral is. All objective morality derives from the divine, as only a god can be omniscient. Being that you cannot prove nationalism to be moral or immoral, although the Christian God does recognize difference between people, that makes the subject amoral. There's no morality to the conversation of nationalism. While technically amoral, in accordance to the Christian revelation, man has a natural disgust factor towards multiculturalism brought about by adaptation, which was created by God when he created an ordered universe with natural law. Disgust acts as a primitive form of morality, or more accurately, pseudo-morality, as it is meant to discourage dysgenic acts. Being that the adaptation is created to propagate the being that adaptation is created to propagate the existence of the species, going against hardwired instincts is dysgenic. If multiculturalism is dysgenic, and this is where obviously we could have an evidence debate, but it does sound like you were kind of starting to accept some of the bell curve stuff, but we could go into more of that in a little bit. And if we have no moral imperative towards multiculturalism, and even possibly the opposite towards monoculturalism, although that cannot be objectively proven, then multiculturalism is objectively wrong for society.
Okay. That was the entire thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try to summarize this in a way so that I can internalize your argument, okay? And tell me if I get off on anything here.
Yeah.
So essentially, we are saying that an objective morality that is right and true can only come from a divine being such as God. We recognize that God has created an ordered universe, and as part of that creation, he has created mankind. One of the tools that he has given mankind to recognize what is morally good can be the tool of disgust. If something is disgusting naturally to a person, then we can argue that that is an immoral thing because that disgust has come to us from a divine creator, and that divine creator is the only person that we could truly derive moral rights and wrongs from. And then we extend that to people that look different than us, or multiculturalism can lead to a disgusting feeling from a person, and therefore, we can trace that back to our God figure and argue that this is a moral wrong, right?
Almost, but not quite, because you missed the part where I said that disgust is a pseudo-morality, or it's not a objectively proved morality, because it does not come from Christian revelation, so we can never know for sure if it is objective or not.
And when you say doesn't come from Christian revelation, are you saying that there isn't there's not a part in the Catechism or the Bible that writes what we should be disgusted in? Is that what you mean by that, or?
Yeah, but there's also nothing in the Bible that says that multiculturalism is inherently a bad thing or immoral. So there's nothing. So basically, that's what I was saying with the that this will come back to moral nihilism.
Can you tell me how you plug disgust in to the equation again? Then I missed that. How does disgust get us to arguing the immorality of something?
The disgust doesn't. I said that was a pseudo-morality, and perhaps I should have put that as a aside at the end of it, because I feel like you have got quite confused by this.
Okay.
I'm not saying that multiculturalism is immoral or that it's moral. I'm saying that it's amoral.
Okay, so you can't make a value statement on it one way or another?
Yes, and the reason I created this argument was because oftentimes liberals or leftists will say that oh well maybe multiculturalism isn't the best thing, but we have a moral imperative to it. Well, now that I've denied that moral imperative in what I feel is a objective way, I feel that we can now discuss the evidence of if it is objectively good for society or if it is bad. And if it's bad, then it is objectively bad.
Okay, I think I accept that. I want to argue that there might be a tad bit of a straw man in arguing that people argue that multiculturalism is good for the sake of multiculturalism, because you might be able to expand that argument to what is good for the benefit of all people, rather than just multiculturalism, right? You could argue that we do, but I'm guessing that you would treat that as a separate argument, and you would say that, okay, well, as long as we accept that multiculturalism isn't good for the sake of multiculturalism, or multiculturalism can't supersede the good of all people, then we can move on to the second argument of if it's good for all people. Is that a fair assumption?
Well, I'm not arguing about multiculturalism in some abstract. I'm arguing about it. I'm arguing against it in the way that leftists actually use it. And you might say that no one actually says that multiculturalism is good just because it's multiculturalism.
No, I wouldn't make that statement. There are a lot of people that I think the motto, like, diversity is our greatest strength, is a really stupid motto, and I don't think it means anything. So I do, I accept that there are people that argue for diversity's sake and whatnot, and I accept that those arguments are really stupid.
Yeah, so, yeah, just a little history lesson. Basically, when we moved from racial nationalism and racial pride to multiculturalism and acceptance, there was no argument ever made as to why multiculturalism was good. It was basically just, hey, white people, look how evil you are. So you have to atone for these sins. So what I'm saying basically is now that I've demolished the moral case for multiculturalism, what it comes down to is the evidence of, is multiculturalism actually good for European society?
Gotcha. Are you American or European? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm American.
Okay. For purposes of conversation, because I'm very familiar with everything in the United States right now, not quite as familiar with things going on all over Europe. It would be nice to stick to America, but we can talk about specific European things if you want. But I'm not as comfortable discussing like widespread trends in Europe. Like, I don't know specific figures about, like, I know some things about Germany and Sweden and the United Kingdom, but I can't talk as well about broad trends.
Yeah, what I was just gonna say is, yeah, I am American, but for some reason people think I have a British accent a lot. I'm not really sure why that is.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, I don't know. I do have a weird way of talking, so.
Okay. All right.
So, from here, where I'd want to take the conversation is into the evidence category of, is multiculturalism beneficial to European society or not? And if I can prove that it is not, then I will have defeated every argument for multiculturalism, both on an empirical and moral level.
Sure.
Okay.
I still think that you can possibly make moral arguments for something that would transcend multiculturalism, like a for the good of all people argument that wouldn't necessarily be multiculturalism, but it would entail, pragmatically multiculturalism, does that make sense? Like, that could be.
No, because I don't put humans into the category of just this one human race that we just have to do whatever is best for them. Each nation should be doing what's best for its own people, because when we get down to it, that is the role of the state. That is what the state is created for. So
Sure,
the state is created to serve the interests of its people. So it's the state's moral duty to do what's best for its people, and that doesn't entail promoting the interest of every person in the world.
Sure, but there are a lot of people that disagree with that, and right, even our own government, and I'm guessing probably every single government in the world, contributes publicly funded tax dollars to charity organizations across the world to help people that aren't necessarily within their own borders, right? Some people could make the argument that morally your country does have some sort of obligation to help other types of people.
Well, no, you couldn't, because think about it. Who allows the government to exist, and who creates the government?
The people?
Exactly. So why would the people that are creating the government want the government or think that it's moral for the government to do something counter to their interests.
Because those people might have made the moral judgment that they have a responsibility to protect other types of people, right? This was their, like, under if most people agreed with your philosophy, the UN, the human relocation stuff, the refugee program wouldn't exist, right? Why does anybody accept a refugee, right? Generally, these people are usually a burden that you have to bear for some point in time, but people in general accept this because we feel that we have a responsibility to humanity as a whole sometimes. Or why do we donate money to AIDS research in Africa and whatnot, or food programs, worldwide? I think that most people have made the moral argument that it is to some extent the responsibility of our state, even if it costs us some money, to help other people.
Right, but you cannot prove that objectively.
Prove what? That most people agree with that or feel that way?
You can't prove objectively that it is moral that you have to help every person around the world over your own state. You can't
Sure.
prove
No,
that
yeah, no. I mean, you might not be able to prove it, but that doesn't change the fact that most people believe it, right?
No, I don't think most people do believe it. But even if we said that most people did believe that, that doesn't really change anything of this conversation, because once again, I'm not in the business of taking popular opinion and making that a fact.
Sure.
Or making that what's true and what's not true.
Yeah, I understand. So we don't have to talk about this specifically, or we can visit this later if you want, but like, I'm just giving you like a hypothetical. Let's say that you can empirically prove that globalization, is a slight net negative, right? And then that would, for you, be the end of the conversation. There might be some people that would make the moral argument that, well, so many other people went out on these types of deals that I think that we have a moral imperative to help these people. Even if it comes at a slight negative to us, I still think we should continue on because the morality outweighs that slight negative to ourselves, right? That would be like an argument that somebody might make.
Well, yeah, once again, they could make that argument, but I've already defeated multiculturalism on the axis of morality because we both agreed that it was a amoral subject. So.
Sure, but they wouldn't be arguing under the guise of multiculturalism. They would be arguing under the guise of helping all of humanity, right? It would look like multiculturalism because oftentimes white people are wealthy and brown people are not wealthy, but...
Well, once again, can you objectively prove that helping all people around the world over your own people is moral? And if not, then we're at the same point where the same argument that I made against multiculturalism being a moral issue would be applied to this.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I could or couldn't make that argument. I was just talking about how most people would feel, that even if you defeated the empirical, or not most people, but even if you defeated the empirical, that people would try to make the argument or have the feeling that, like, even if empirically it's a slight loss, we could still argue that, morally we have a responsibility to all humans or whatnot, right?
Well, I'm not really sure that what we're disagreeing on here, because I agree that people would still make that case, but I'm just saying it would be objectively wrong, as there's no morality to something like that. It's not a moral issue.
Well, can't you argue morally that maybe somebody's axiom, or even using the two axioms that I had earlier, that everybody deserves some sort of inalienable rights, and that I want to treat other people as I would want to be treated. Therefore, if I have the ability to, provide substantial help to somebody in another country at low cost to myself, I have a moral responsibility to do it, right? Are these valid moral arguments? I don't want to like super derail on this. I mean, we can move on from it because this is kind of like a really side thing before getting into the empirical part.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like basically what you're doing is I don't know if you're doing this intentionally or not, but you're disregarding my former proposition, the former proposition that we both agreed on, that there's no morality to things that can't be proved by the divine. So, and then you're taking...
That was the syllogy that you gave for your personal beliefs, and I agreed that it was an internally consistent thing. But just because I believed in the... what would it be? The soundness of your syllogy. I wouldn't necessarily agree in the validity of it, right? It's internally consistent but valid means I would disagree with some of the premises.
Well, if that's true, then how do you justify a non-objective morality? How is this non-objective morality justified?
I can't give you a good justification. But rather than, I guess this sounds a little fallacious, but rather than try to prove my morality is correct, I would seek to disprove your morality by disproving the existence of a higher power, or showing that it would be irrational to believe in the existence of a higher power. And then that would put us both on equal footing. So
Well,
then,
yeah,
yeah.
if you did that, then that would just put the whole thing into moral nihilism,
Well, yeah,
and we'd be
exactly. Yeah.
back at the same point where everything would be argued on empirical data and nothing else. So
Sure. Well, not even
that
empirical
doesn't
data,
actually.
because we couldn't argue the morality of any empirical data in a nihilistic point of view, right? But
Um, Expound upon that for a second.
well,
Trying to
if we
think.
believed, if we were both morally nihilist, empirical data doesn't matter, because empirical data gives us an is, right, and then from there we would take our moral oughts to decide what we do about it. But in order to get moral oughts, we would need some sort of platform to come off of that probably wouldn't be moral nihilism, right? Like, let's say empirically you showed that people coming over, hurt our economy or helped our economy. That hurting and helping, we would have to assign a moral good or bad to either of those arguments, but we can't really do that if we're morally nihilistic, right?
No, because you don't have to apply a moral bad or moral good to it. The value could just be something like, I want to make my life better, I want to make my society's life better, and then you would argue from that empirical data because there's no morality bootstrapping you down to any position.
Well, but arguing I want to make my society better is a form of morality, right? That you would have to build off of fundamental axioms, but you wouldn't be able to do that because you can't escape the nihilistic black hole, right?
I'm not sure I quite agree with that statement,
Well,
but
I guess I would just ask you then. So, why do you want to make society good? What fundamental axiom does that rest on?
it rests on the fundamental axiom of increasing the quality of your life and having a better life. I don't.
Okay, so let's say that my fundamental axiom is I think that we should seek to decrease life as much as possible. How do you argue the validity of your system over the validity of mine?
I wouldn't.
Right. Well, yeah, because if we both accepted the nihilistic whole, then we can't really argue in favor of either one. This is kind of what I meant when I said that, like, empirically the data doesn't matter if we both accept that we're morally nihilistic, right? That we can't really make strong arguments in favor of what we should do, because when we talk about what we should do based on data, we're usually talking about an ought, what ought we do. But in order to get to an ought, we need some sort of philosophy to build on, right? Generally, right?
Right, but if we accepted that platform to start on, then there would be no point in having any political conversation anyway. So
Sure. Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm sorry. It sounds like we're running around in circles. I
yeah,
guess
and I don't think anyone
truly
actually
believes in
accepts
moral
that
nihilism.
platform.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, yeah, impossible to do so. I just wanted to get back on because even I accept your platform as being internally consistent, but I don't necessarily accept your platform as being valid. I don't agree with all your premises. Or rather, I don't agree. Yeah, I don't. Right. If I don't agree with an assumption of a premise, I don't agree with the premise. So I don't necessarily agree with everything that comes forward from that, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, is it just because I presuppose the existence of a god? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, the god isn't actually a necessary element to that. All the god aspect was to disprove any objective morality not derived from a god. So, if you don't accept a god, we're just still back at the end point of moral nihilism that I said it would loop around to on the majority of subjects anyway. So
Okay, we can move on to the empirical part so that we don't get lost, I guess, too much in the philosophy of things.
yeah, it's fine. Okay, so do you I'll just ask you this. Do you agree that different humans possess different abilities, different temperaments, different personalities, and create different societies naturally?
When you say different humans, are you talking on an individual level, or are you talking on a racial or ethnic level?
Well, both, obviously, but for this I am talking about different population groups that evolved in different environments.
Yeah, I would agree that they would create different societies. People raised in different environments, for sure, yeah.
Well, I'm not saying like raised in an environment. I'm saying like the environment that their people evolved in, so their genetics.
I'm not sure if I necessarily believe that, no.
So, do you believe that there are intelligence differences between human populations?
And again, just making sure when you say populations, you're talking about wide groups of people, like groups of,
Um,
and not
the
just
re-
variance within groups of people?
the reason I say genetic populations instead of race is because, as you know, race is something of a social construct that only broadly groups together humans, human subspecies, you could say, I guess. But it only broadly does it, and there's a lot of different things. And even if you're talking about one race, there's still a difference between an Italian and an Irishman and a Spaniard, and so on and so forth.
Okay, and then what was your original question?
So, do you believe that these population groups, have different abilities and intelligence levels from adaptation?
No, not necessarily. I don't believe that, no.
So you reject the argument that someone like Charles Murray would make, or did make, and Sam Harris agreed with. You would reject that.
I don't think he made that argument. Hold on, I'm sorry, 1 second.
Warning, long period of idleness will be punished by the lever buster system monks.
Nice job keeping the chat lit, fam.
Bomb 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 bomb
I'm eating some
bomb
good
bomb
shepherd's
bomb
pie. How
bomb
about you
bomb
guys?
bomb
What are
bomb
you eating
bomb
right
bomb
now?
bomb bomb. Bomb 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 bomb. Bomb 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 bomb. This is Nathan from an alternate timeline, where his grandmother had full custody, after Destiny and Rachel killed each
I'm
other
also
in an
drinking
impromptu
some
sparring
polar
match.
cranberry lime seltzer water. What about you guys? What do you guys think about the video game Slime Ranchers? I just got it in a Humble Bundle a couple days ago. Seems pretty good.
Tryhard, 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 tryhard. Tryhard, 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 tryhard. Tryhard, 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 tryhard.
Shout out to Garp Garp. Yeah, I am digging my own grave, but that's only because Gravedigger is my favorite monster truck driver.
All right, fuck me. I'm sorry, dude. All right, I'm here. Do you remember the last
That's
thing?
okay. I was just having a good conversation with the chat.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right, what's up? What was the last thing we mentioned?
So I think we were talking about, do you believe that different human populations have different innate abilities given to them from genetics, and
Oh.
in particular, we were talking about intelligence.
Gotcha. Okay. And no, I don't believe this.
Okay, so what do you believe then? Do you believe that it's all so that if you don't believe in it, then what really becomes the question is, do you believe in evolution or even just adaptation? Because
Yeah, of
it would
course.
stand to reason that over almost hundreds of thousands of years, that different populations would develop different characteristics.
Could you repeat that last question again?
So, humans have spread out across Africa and then across to different countries for almost 100,000 years now. And obviously, they develop different phenotypical traits, different heights, different body types, different weight. Like they have like different body fat percentages, um, different skin color, different eye shape, different eye color, different hair styles, and like textures. So, and knowing that different animals, different subspecies of animals, have massively different, disparate intelligent levels, why would it be that humans developed all the phenotypic traits that animals did, but they stopped at the intelligence level, like intelligence wasn't distributed
I mean,
differently.
even phenotypically, I don't think human populations are very different. I mean, we're very, very similar in like most ways, like in massively similar ways. I don't.
Well, do you know the concept of subspecies in the animal kingdom?
No. What about it?
Well, basically what it is, the important point here, is that even tiny differences between two populations that started from the same nexus point can constitute a subspecies. Like within like 5,000 years of being trapped on an island, different like finches who look like almost identical and behave almost identical constitute subspecies.
I guess so. I guess to kind of cut to the meat of this, like I know how evolution works, and I know how natural selection works. I know how pressures can select different genetic traits, but I've never seen any research or heard any suggestion that suggests that human populations were separated for such a extreme amount of time, and such pressures was put on them such that they were actually able to evolve dramatically different traits from other groups of humans. I've never heard that argument defended academically before.
Well,
Like I understand where you're
um,
going with your thing. Like if humans had lived separately for tens of millions or years or whatever, then sure. But I've never heard this argument that two groups of people grew up in such separate areas for such an extended period of time that they now have dramatic genetic differences between these groups. I haven't heard that before.
Well, the thing with that is you're making it out for something like evolution where you could actually change species. Yes, it would take millions of years, but for something like just to develop subspecies and different characteristics, it doesn't take all that long at all. For like wolves, we turned wolves into hundreds of different breeds of dogs with massively different intelligence levels, massively different traits. From the period of wolf to dog, from like wolf to now, it was about 15,000 years, and even less time than that, from dog to different type of dog. And obviously it's not the same exactly, because yes, it was selected breeding and the evolution was sped up and stuff, but it's not a completely separate topic
So
either.
I'm not sure if I would accept this as analogous, just because the artificial selection, the artificial pressures that people put on dogs is like such an extreme. Like if you could point to me a group of humans that other humans like specifically bred over the course of 16,000 years, then maybe I would be more willing to buy that argument. But I mean, this was a very extreme, very selective type of thing with an end goal in mind. I don't know if dogs are analogous to humans in this scenario. Yeah, not only is it
Well,
selective breeding, but it was like selective incestuous breeding in order to get dogs, the domesticated modern dog, to where it is today. Like,
sure, but dogs have massive differences between them. Uh, Most humans generally have the same body structures, even if they're in slightly different proportions and stuff like that. but in like roughly the same intelligence. Like no doubt there's differences in intelligence, but it's not like one's like literally so dumb it can't even think and the other's like amazingly intelligent. Like it's not as big of a difference maybe as you're trying to imply that I'm implying. So
I just don't think the comparison of dogs to humans is a good comparison, just because dogs were very specifically bred and inbred over many generations. I don't think that's analogous to human populations moving and inbreeding, or I'm sorry, interbreeding and whatnot around the earth. I just don't know if.
well, if you know anything about evolution, you would know that different environments produce different results naturally. So in an environment like Africa, where food scurries off a tree and falls onto your feet, and there's no seasons basically, or in some parts there is, but they're not as drastic, and you can survive all year round without industrial farming. It's not going to have the same evolutionary pressures towards intelligence as something like Europe or Eurasia, where they have extreme different seasons. They have to basically invent industrial farming just to survive, and it's just generally not
Wasn't
a
farming in
habitable
Europe
climate.
like imported from China?
I said Eurasia, so
Okay. I guess
I
I'm not.
generally what
I'm
when
not
I'm
sure if I
talking about.
generally buy this argument that people around the equator are. I mean, sure, like people that move north might have to learn how to build different habitats, but living near the equator also presents. It's a pretty extreme biome to live in. Water can be scarce. There can be different types of diseases present that aren't necessarily present in the northern or southern hemispheres as much. Like,
Well, it's relative though, isn't it? Because what's a struggle for one people might be extraordinary, but compared to the struggle of another people, it might not even be close. So I'm not saying it's easy to live in Africa. If I went there, I'd probably die within a couple days if I had to live out in the environment all alone. I'd probably die of skin cancer or
sure,
sunburn or something like
I
that because
understand what
I'm
you're
not
saying.
suited for the
I
environment.
don't think it's ever been shown, or I've never, if you, and I'm not trying to like get you here on like providing a source, but I've never been shown a compelling argument from somebody that specializes in genetics or anthropology or whatever that there is a dramatic differentiation of people that moved north versus people that lived in the equator because the selective pressures of people moving north made it so that only the most intelligent survived or whatever. Like, I haven't seen these kinds of arguments substantiated academically ever.
Well, the argument that I was making there was on praxeological grounds. Now,
But
I can move to the evidence grounds where people like Charles Murray and uh blanking on his name, the guy that wrote IQ and the Wealth of Nations, Richard Lynn, he's done a lot of research on this to show that indeed climate is one of the biggest determinants on intelligence levels. That
okay,
generally colder climates produce less intelligent people and warmer or
sure, but
yeah.
we still don't know if that's a genetic effect or an environmental effect. And Charles Murray has said just as much that he would never argue that genetics is the primary determining thing in intelligence or even the majority determining thing or whatever for intelligence over environment, that he doesn't have the data to make that claim. And he doesn't even make claims of wide differences of intelligence between groups of people. Charles Murray does not make these claims.
Charles Murray said in the I listened to his whole thing with Sam Harris, and I've listened to a lot of things that he's put out. But what he said was, and what him and Sam Harris both agreed on, is that intelligence is 50 through 80% heritable.
Yeah,
They
but
both agreed on
heritability
that.
doesn't necessarily explain differences in groups. So you could have a
No, I
group
know,
of.
I know.
Okay, well, but you just cited that like it was an example supporting your argument, but it's really completely neutral towards your argument. IQ could be 80% heritable, and you could have a group of people with 150 IQ and a group of people with 100 IQ, and that difference, that whole difference in IQ, could be explained by the 20% environment. The heritability of intelligence doesn't necessarily mean that that heritability is the explanation of differences in intelligence between different groups.
Well, right, but that's why we equalize environment so we can study these things.
Sure, but I'm not aware of any study in the history of all of psychology or anthropology or anything that has equalized 100% the environments between different people. I mean, like the closest we kind of get are like twin studies and whatnot, but I mean, for studying wide groups of people, like the equalizing these environments is pretty much impossible.
Well, on twin studies, have you heard of the Minnesota transracial twin study?
Um, it's possible, but can you refresh my memory? This isn't.
Essentially, what it is they took black kids, white kids, and mixed kids, and they assigned them. So they would take like two mixed race twins, and then they would take like two white twins and two black twins and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they're identical twins, so they're genetically the same.
Mm-hmm.
And what they would do is they would put one twin in an environment where they're raised by a rich white family, and then they would put one twin in an environment where they're raised by a poor black family or a poor white family or whatever. And they did that, and there was like hundreds, if not thousands, of these kids in this study, and they repeated it multiple times and found the same thing. And basically, what they found was that um, the empirical data lined up pretty much perfectly with the praxeological data. And what that found was that no matter what environment they were placed in, the blacks still scored the lowest. The mixed race scored in between the blacks and the whites scored higher on these IQ tests administered throughout their lives. And what they also found was that while IQ is heritable, it varies in heritability throughout one's life. So, for instance, under the age of 10 or 5 or whatever it was, I can't remember exactly, there's a more IQ is more volatile and it can be determined more by environment. But as you get older, those environmental factors kind of start waning away, and it really comes down to your intelligence or to your genetics.
I'm just trying to read a little bit about this.
It's pretty much, when you want to get down to it, the most definitive study, or one of the most definitive studies ever on it. The,
So even in reading some of these interpretations, because you could technically argue that somebody of a different race being raised by somebody else could have other impacts that would have to be studied, further on to prove that there wasn't something else influencing the IQ of this child growing up as well, right? That maybe a child raised by somebody whose parents were a different color might have a certain impact or whatnot, right?
well, that's not all it was. It was also rich black parents raising a black kid or whatever. It wasn't just like one. It wasn't just like white parents raising all these
No,
different kids.
sure.
Like,
I understand. I'm just saying that
all these
when you're talking about groups of people, right? There's a ton of complicated different things that are going on here. I mean, one thing that I find interesting is that even in this study, it indicated that cross-racial adoption had a positive effect on black adopted children. I mean, like that note, even in this study, seems to exist. So.
No, of course. I wouldn't deny that. That would be expected. That if you put a child in a richer family, he's gonna do better. He's gonna be better off than he would be in a poor family, and it's more likely that a white family could raise a smarter child in all likelihood. In all honesty, I wouldn't doubt that. But that doesn't. But it still confirms that there are genetic differences.
Possibly. Confirms is a very strong word. I'll pass the study by another dude, and then I guess I'll get back to you if you want, just so that I have some time to really dig through this and make sure I have a good opinion on it. But I mean, I would be worried to take this study and say that, well, we have 100% proved because of this transracial adoption that intelligence is highly heritable, and we can therefore go on to say that intelligence between all people will vary dramatically because of the results of the study. I think that's a pretty extreme claim based off of just this, but I'll run this by a friend and see what he thinks about it.
Well, it depends on how objective this friend is, but
he's got like 10 years in genetics research and he has a PhD in the field, so I kind of trust him. Or I mean, I'll run it by more than just him, I guess, too. But just so I could get a breakdown of what exactly is going on and how the study and everything is. I'm just hesitant to accept this. I mean, because obviously this becomes a little bit circular. Like, if I accept that this study does indeed prove what you're saying, then I have to accept everything that follows from that, I guess, right? Or I guess actually we can even talk past that. Say that this study is true and say that there might be some differences in intelligence between groups of people. What does that
not
say
some,
to you?
not like some. It's a pretty
Okay, a dramatic difference. Okay, sorry. So we'll say a dramatic difference in intelligence between groups of people.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out on this note is
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To bring that up, I'll mention that as well. That Charles Murray does mention in his podcast with Sam Harris. I listened to this just a couple days ago. That a couple people, or Charles Murray references these twin studies and still gives the caveats that we don't actually know 100% if IQ was only being, the differences here were being 100% determined by genetic factor. We still can't go as far as to make that statement. And he has as much a caveat in the book where he says that if you feel like either the genetic or the environmental impact are greater than the other, then it's only because we failed to provide an adequate argument for each, because they're still not entirely sure what the argument is. I'm only bringing up Charles Murray because you cited him earlier. So
no, that's not what in the book he said that if you feel we have made the argument that intelligence is genetic or environmental, then we have failed because it is almost certainly both.
Yeah.
I believe that is what he said.
Yeah.
He didn't say that it's 50-50 or that's even.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Sure. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what I was going to bring up is this is just one example of many, many things that prove what I'm talking about differences in intelligence between populations. Another would be
this isn't. Or what do you mean, one of many, many things? Oh, and then also, yeah, I'm sorry, a quick thing. I didn't realize that. This study wasn't actually a twin study either. The transracial one.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a twin study. What do you mean?
Oh, I thought you said it was a transracial twin study.
I don't know. I might have misspoke. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What other, when you say that's one of many, many, many things, what other types of evidence are you talking about beyond this study?
Well, there's one piece of evidence that I find particularly interesting, and it's that blacks living in first world countries all throughout the world tend to have around the same intelligence once they reach a certain population threshold. And this holds true for pretty much any minority living in any first world European country. So, for instance, in America, you have Indians who immigrated here from India, and I'm talking about dot Indians, not Native Americans or whatever you would want to call them. So they immigrate here in extremely small numbers in tech jobs, so they have an IQ that's maybe even a little higher than the average native white in America. But once it reaches a certain number and that population becomes normalized, I guess you could say, the IQ level for that population returns to about what you would expect it to be from someone from based on the original IQ of the nation that they come from.
Like a regression to the mean kind of thing?
Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but really what it is, that's kind of something separate. Really what it is that once you get a population, a representative population of the original country in your country, they will start to look more and more like the original country. So, like, if you import only the most intelligent Africans to America, yeah, the Africans would look really smart in America, but once you reach a certain population threshold, they would start to look much more like Africans in Africa, and they would go down to IQ 80 or 82 or 83.
Okay.
So,
and then do you have any others? These are just things that I'll put on my docket to go and read about.
Trying to think here. I didn't really take any notes or anything for this, but
Gotcha. I'm only asking this because I've talked to, like, at this point I've talked to multiple PhDs in these fields across psychology and genetics research, and the resounding thing that I hear from these people when I talk to them is that we have a very poor understanding of how genetics manifests into IQ, that intelligence is something that is very poorly understood in terms of how much it comes from genetics, that there are a ton of contradictory informations on terms of, like, how much can we predict intelligence from a particular genetic marker or whatever, and that there has even been, like, large scale meta-analyses of multiple genetic studies showing that of the few different correlations we've found, there is a high probability that these are just false positives as well, right? This is everything that I've read, and all the people who are specialized in these fields that I talk to seem to say this. So when you point out these studies that run very contrary to what they've said, I have to ask them what their opinion is on these studies, how do they justify their opinions based on these studies, whether or not you are misrepresenting the studies, or if they haven't considered the studies, or if these studies were bad or flawed for some reason or whatever. So that's why I'm just trying to collect. I'm not saying, like, you need, like, 5 pieces of evidence to prove me wrong or whatever. It's more I'm just looking for the kinds of studies that are running contrary to what I currently believe so that I can develop a better opinion on them.
Right, and the last one that I was just talking about, that's not even a study. It's just taking IQ data from countries and comparing it, and then like dividing it by race and ethnicity, and then comparing it to the IQ level of the populations in those native countries.
Okay.
It's not like one cohesive study, or maybe someone did do a cohesive study about it. I'm not really sure. But if you want to know a lot more about like the differences in human intelligence, I would recommend going to this site called Alternative Hypothesis. And essentially what it is it's a website where they take the data where they take all this data and they collect it and they lay out these extremely well sourced articles about human intelligence and characteristics.
Okay. What is this? Just alternative hypo? Oh, I see. The
It's the
alternativehypothesis.org.
Yeah, and then if you go to core issues, it's like race and IQ, and like they have a bunch of different categories, and they wrote like dozens and dozens of articles about it, and everything that they write is extremely well sourced and reliable. Like they're not just making stuff up and like saying that it is what it is.
Gotcha.
So if you're gonna bring this to an expert, I would recommend that you take some of the stuff from this site, or take some of the stuff that this site uses as its sources, and take that to your experts and see what they can say about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um, I guess we're kind of gridlocked here on this issue because it doesn't seem that you can provide a cohesive argument against what I'm saying, and it doesn't seem that you think I have the authority to maybe talk about the subject definitively. So, I don't know. I'm not quite sure where you would want to proceed from here. If you want to proceed towards accepting this as true, and then what the consequences of that would be if it is.
I mean, like, I can extrapolate probably the rest of your argument. I imagine it would go something along the lines of, if we accept that there are dramatic differences between certain races of people, and we are of a race that is superior in some ways to these other races of people, why are we compelled to take on their problems and their inferiorities into our societies? That would just be a net drag on us when we continue to grow, when we can instead continue to grow our own types of people and not, diminish the overall population for the sake of helping other people or whatever, right? More or less, kind of.
I wouldn't use the word superior
Yeah,
though,
or more
because
intelligent or whatever, right?
that's because for something to be superior, it would take a omniscient being to say that it was. Because I can't make the moral judgment of if one is superior. I can make the moral judgment of different, and
Sure.
I
But when we're
believe that.
talking difference, I use superior in a pragmatic sense, because when we're talking difference, we're generally talking intelligence, and people that are more intelligent are almost strictly better than people that are less intelligent in the world today in almost every size, shape, or form, right?
Well, in Western society, certainly, but not. I wouldn't say that that's generally true, because even if you're a IQ 130 white or Asian person and you go to Africa, if you're not suited to that environment with your skin and stuff like that, you're going to have a pretty tough time surviving. So I would say that the African reigns supreme in Africa, the white man would reign supreme in Europe,
I
and
mean, I
the
think
Asian
in,
would
in
reign
most of
supreme in Asia.
Africa, I think they have like buildings and air conditioners and stuff. I think that there's a lot of that. But I mean, like, in general, we're talking about intelligence as a Western. Like, the world is more and more favoring intelligent people that can go to school, get jobs as engineers, right? These are people that are generally favored over less intelligent but maybe stronger people, right?
Right, that's true, but that's only because of the progress that the way of life that Western civilization has set up. If you take it into an abstract, there's no way to prove a objective superiority or inferiority, only difference.
I think you could argue for the superiority. You could objectively argue that being able to farm is superior to being roaming people, because the farmers maybe will always destroy the roaming people, right? So in some ways they are probably objectively superior. I mean, unless you're trying to measure, I don't know. I don't even know what you would be trying to measure.
Yeah, I guess you could say that they're evolutionarily superior, maybe
Oh, sure, yeah, sure,
like they would win in an evolutionary sense or something like that.
sure.
But that's only if they were meeting in the environment. If they were separate, then there would be no way to tell.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
But
so
we're
that's what
past that point, right? Where we're all meeting, right? But yeah, sure.
yeah, that was my whole point though.
Okay.
So
I find just this is a more personal slash emotional thing. I find that to be a little weaselly, and I hear a lot of people say that. Like when if somebody is saying that one group of people is strictly more intelligent than another group of people, 99% of the human population would probably agree that that makes them strictly better. And I don't really like the caveat like, well, I'm not saying better, I'm just saying different, because in this world we value intelligence over any other trait, period, right? Except for very niche scenarios like surviving in a desert, where we're not really talking about these areas, right? We're talking about people that can go to school, become educated, get high paying degrees so they can get high paying jobs and contribute to society in ways, right? Typically we value intelligence as a society over pretty much every other trait at this point. So I take a little bit of issue with the kind of weasel like, well, I'm not saying that we're better, I'm just saying that we're different and that we're far more intelligent, right? I feel like it's a little weaselly.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it could be interpreted like that, and maybe colloquially speaking, people would conflate more intelligent with better. But I was just trying to be absolutely correct in what I was saying, and not
Okay, sure. I agree. Okay,
yeah.
that's okay then. Sure, I understand. Okay, I've stated my problem with it, but for the sake of this conversation, I can agree with your terminology.
Yeah. So, um, I, just back to the studies real quickly. If you another
Guardsman,
thing that I
guardsman,
would look at for
guardsman,
this
guardsman,
is
guardsman, guardsman,
what I would look at
guardsman,
is crime
guardsman,
rates and
guardsman,
SAT
guardsman,
scores and how
guardsman,
they
guardsman,
correlate to
guardsman,
IQ and
guardsman,
race.
guardsman, guardsman,
So,
guardsman,
Hold
for
on,
guardsman,
wait a second. I'm
guards.
instance,
sorry. Fuck, I just had some shit spamming my shit. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you say that again? Repeat what you were gonna say.
one study that I would look up, or not really a study, but one subject I would look up, is how SAT scores and crime correlate to race. And the reason that that's important is because it appears to fall right in line with all the hypotheses that people like Charles Murray and other people like that would make. And that is, so basically what it is the richest blacks in America outscore, um, or no, the richest blacks in America are outscored on SAT tests by the poorest whites, people making less than like $15,000 a year for a family income outscore blacks who earn over like 200,000 a year, and Asians also outscore them, and they even outscore the whites at every level, and the whites and Asians outscore the blacks at every level. So that's one thing I would look up. And another thing I would look up is how the richest blacks still commit more crime than the poorest whites and Asians, and relatively wealthy whites still commit more crime than
I
Asians.
don't know if that last one was true. I know that there was one study that tracked some people, but even that was only for, right, you can only go on conviction rates and not necessarily crime. I know that last study that you're referring to, I've read it, but I don't know that
Well,
it tracked like I think 140 different people over their lifetime, and it was really only talking of conviction rates, and the differences weren't that great. I'm not sure if that's like if you can make that absolute statement that wealthy black people all over the country commit more crime than poor white people. I don't think you can make that that projection from that one study.
Well, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same study, but I don't remember it only being a sample size of 140 people. I remember it mostly being based on FBI crime data stats, but
I don't think FBI crime data keeps stats that go down by income. I don't think that they have that. Like the Bureau of Justice Statistics, I don't think they have that type of data.
well, I'm not sure exactly what the study was. I would have to look it up and find it, but it was
Gotcha.
pretty convincing when I
Are you talking about
read
a
it.
study, or are you talking about that picture that was floating around Twitter?
No, it wasn't a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? Um, so basically, I know that this isn't a end all be all argument, or even a argument that can objectively prove my position, but just a question to you: does the totality of evidence not make you question your egalitarian worldview?
What do you mean the totalitarian? Or I'm sorry, what do you mean the totality of evidence?
essentially there's so much evidence in favor of racial differences being genetic, or at least partially genetic,
Well, that's kind of
that
where we disagree on, right? That's kind of why I'm asking you for a collection of this so I can go look up into it more later, because I disagree with your assertion that that is the consensus right now opinion, is that most of these differences are due to genetic reasons. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, and I haven't seen the evidence to say otherwise, which is why I'll look into these studies when we're done talking.
well, I'm not saying that you agree with it or that's the
Hmm.
majority opinion. I'm just saying that there's so many things that you can cite, like SAT scores, IQ, crime rates, regression to the mean of when different populations move to host countries. Like, there's just so many examples like that. That does it not kind of make you wonder, okay, maybe this actually is true, that there's
Well,
differences in
no,
human
because I mean, you can
populations.
go and shop for data that will prove almost any particular point, right? Yeah, you can find data saying capitalism is evil or good, or you can find data saying that people are. I mean, you can find, right. You know this. You can shop for data for almost any opinion you want, and find a ton of evidence pointing to.
Well, you can find evidence, but if that evidence is legitimate is a different question.
Well, but that's what we're talking about, right? Which is why I have to look into the studies that you've given. I don't know if genetics has been adequately isolated as a variable in any of the things you're talking about, because it would seem to me, in the little bit of academic consensus I've read, it seems like most people agree that this is not how it goes. They don't agree that genetics have been adequately demonstrated to be a major determining factor in a person's intelligence. It doesn't seem to be the case.
Um, I believe it was the American Psychological Association, which is a authoritative source in America,
Mm-hmm.
that put out an article or a statement in 2005 saying that intelligence had a heritability of between zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.8.
Yeah, but we've already said that heritability doesn't necessarily explain differences between groups. It doesn't. It's completely disconnected.
It's not in the way that you're trying to make it out to be, because if there is a gap that's large enough and we can discount the socioeconomic factors.
But that's the problem. Discounting the socioeconomic factors is almost impossible. It's like very, very, very difficult to do. Finding these studies that isolate genetic factors, genetic variables, like we can't grow people in laboratories, right? It's a very difficult thing to do.
Right, but how do you think they came up with this figure of 50 through 80% heritable in the first place? How do you think they came up with that?
I would have to guess like genome mapping or something like that.
No, it was through twin studies and different studies where they tried to neutralize environment.
Okay. But I mean, even if you do come up with that 50 to 80% heritability, it still doesn't necessarily explain the differences between groups of people.
Well, it does in a way, because if you look up the recorded IQ of modern day Aboriginals, which are natives to Australia, I believe they clock in at about 62 IQ, and then you look at who is it? The Chinese, I think they clock in at about 108 in Hong Kong and like 105 in China. So I don't think it would be possible to say that that difference came down to environment. It's too large of a gap for it to be explained by environment.
I mean, I don't agree with that. Too large of a gap to be explained by environment. I don't. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know
I'm
if
pretty
you.
sure it's just statistically correct that that's too large of a gap to be explained by environment.
I guess I'm. I don't know. I don't. I guess I just don't agree with. I don't think that that's like a realistic statement to make, right? If we use the example that I don't remember if it was Harris or Murray brought up, right? You can take two genetically identical seeds. You can plant one in a barren desert and plant another one in a lush, valley or whatever, and you could see dramatic differences between the two. But nobody would ever make the claim that, well, look at these massive differences in genetics. It's very obvious that one was genetically superior because it grew into a beautiful plant and the other one died in the dirt, right? I mean, environment can play a massive impact on these things.
Right, but we're talking Australia versus China, so is it possible to come to create a difference so large that it would explain that?
I mean, I guess, yeah, it's possible over long periods in time. I guess it depends on what's being on the achievements or whatever of both groups of people. I mean, do the Aboriginals, were they just like hunter gatherers?
Essentially, as far as I know, they hadn't even invented fire when they were found by the Europeans.
Discovered fire, right? I'm being pedantic, but
But
um,
yeah, discovered.
I guess I don't know much about the history of the Aboriginals. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I would have to go and study, but I mean, I'll put them on my list of people to look at. Okay.
Okay, and here's another thing. So, lower socioeconomic status is generally correlated with lower intelligence, right?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Lower socioeconomic status is generally correlated with lower intelligence, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so do you know anything about the country of Mongolia?
A little bit. My history is really shitty though. But what about it?
Essentially, Mongolia is one of the most rural and one of the most poor countries in the whole world. And yet, the Mongolian people still have an average IQ of over 100. So, if it is true that um, that what you're saying is that worse environment causes lower IQ, which I don't doubt. I'm sure it is a factor, but if that was true, how could it be that Mongolians have a higher IQ by a whole standard deviation over American blacks?
I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe culturally they value different types of intelligence more. Maybe they had reading spread to them earlier. I don't know. I don't know anything about Mongolian history. I'll add it to my list.
Well, it's nothing to do with Mongolian history so much as it is the current day status of Mongolians versus the current day status of blacks. I don't think anyone would deny that blacks in America have a higher standard of living than Mongolians.
Sure. But again, like all of these things, again, you're talking about these are like really, really complicated things. Like, here's a simple thing. Do you think that countries that are wealthier tend to have better internet than countries that are poor? Do you think that's an okay general statement to make? Typically, when a country is wealthy, it can invest more money into its internet infrastructure and, has more connection to the rest of the world in terms of internet, right?
Um, no, not really,
Why not?
because the internet is something that how developed the internet in a country depends on a lot of factors, like the government, like if the government how the government handles the market and different things like that. How much the culture values having the
Okay,
internet.
I don't disagree with anything you've just said, but why aren't you willing to make the same be as charitable to the intelligence thing, right? So I think that some people could say that, well, yeah, sure, a richer country means better internet, but I can point to empirical examples where that's not true, right? There are Eastern European countries, I know, like Romania at the least, has insane internet, right? But that's because internet is like an emergent thing that is very complicated, and whether or not you have good internet or bad internet, that can be there's a ton of different variables that will influence, right? How the government responds to it, monopolization, and all sorts of things, right? I don't disagree with you there. But then when we talk about intelligence, when you see intelligence that is even more complicated, right? The emergence of intelligence over internet is even more complicated. You're very quick to say, oh, well, look, it's just a race thing, period, right? And it seems like you don't want to explore any other reasoning there.
Well, what you're doing now is what we call shifting the goalposts, because your whole argument this whole time has been that higher socioeconomic status leads to higher intelligence, or that's at least like your null hypothesis, I guess.
Well, yeah, but it's not
now you're saying
but it's not absolute.
it's not absolute, but why is it that in so many, even if you're saying that's not absolute, why is it that it's proved wrong in almost every case? Like, how do Cambodians have a higher IQ than American blacks by like 10 points?
I don't know. I mean,
Like,
American blacks have a very special history in the United States in terms of being pretty fucked for the past like 250 years. Like, I'm not sure if it's fair to take them right now and say, well, look at how fucked they are. Like, there's a lot that
right,
goes
well,
into being an American black today, right? Like you've got maybe even parents, or I'm sorry, there are black people today that still lived, under legal separation in the United States. Like, I'm not sure if it's fair to take this group of people and go, well, look, they live in a rich country, they should be fine. Like, black people have a lot of catching up to do in the United States.
well, black people is just one example. You could also apply it to, say, African immigrants into the US in the past like 20 years. Their IQ is even lower than the black American IQ, and that's mostly because at least the evidence supports that that's mostly because the American blacks have about a 30% European DNA admixture, while the African blacks have no European admixture, so their
Wait, hold
intelligence
on.
is actually even lower.
I'm not I don't think that's true. I was under the impression that immigrants, black immigrants, people coming from like Nigeria and shit, are typically much higher intelligence than native black people.
Well, Nigeria, even Nigerians that live in Nigeria have a higher IQ than the average American black, and it's a very interesting case because it appears that the Nigerian people, for some reason or another, have developed a higher IQ than the majority of any black population in any other country.
God, no, I was just sure. I mean, that's possible. But I'm just saying specifically, like, I'm pretty sure that the average black immigrant is much more intelligent than the average black native. I'm almost positive that I've read these stats before. I'm trying to find like a specific.
Yeah, no, well, that is true, but it depends on population size. Because if you're taking all the smartest Africans from Africa and bringing them to the US to work all these tech jobs, yeah, of course they're gonna have a higher IQ than the average black in America. But once that population normalizes to a size that that it's actually reflective of the host country, that's when you can accurately measure it.
Do you have just so that I can look into this more because this is the second time you brought it up? What numbers do I need to get to prove that kind of regression towards the mean? What is there a particular study or is this like a web page that I can look at or?
Um, I don't know if it's a particular study, more like multiple studies that just show the way that different populations have reflect the IQ of their host country once they reach a certain threshold. And a good example of this would be, like I said, the Dot Indians. There's a lot of Dot Indians in the country, in the UK, for example. And in the UK, Dot Indians have an IQ of about what 84, 85, which is right in line with the average IQ of India. But when you come to the US, there's not very many Dot Indians, so the Dot Indians tend to have an IQ of 105, 100, something around there. But as the population size of the Dot Indians increases in the US, it will almost certainly drop down to the level of the Dot Indians in the UK or India.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll go look that up. Any other information that you want to throw at me or?
Um, that's all I can think of for now. But so just to be clear, if this information was found to be correct, and I don't know if you would admit it, even if it was, like in 5 years, if like they had like full DNA sequencing and like they mapped intelligence to be like 80% heritable, and like they figured out that the socioeconomic differences weren't the thing causing the IQ gap between Asians and whites and blacks and aboriginals and so forth. I don't know if you would still even admit, like what would be your position if this was confirmed to be true?
I don't know. I would have to think about it. So I guess like if we let's say that we assume that there are wide differences in intellectual capabilities between groups of people genetically speaking. So here's a couple of concerns that I would have and things that we'd have to bring up is one, we would probably not have a one size fits all policy for every single type of person, right? Regardless of race. Race would start or ethnicity or rather ancestry to be more precise. Ancestry would have to be something that we would take into account when we're designing policy or education for groups of people. We would still have to find ways to account for outliers, right? If there were very intelligent people that were on the upper end of the bell curve from some races, we would want to draft them, I guess, into white people programs. And if there were very unintelligent white people, we would want to draft them down, I guess, into black or Indian programs. I guess the biggest problem at the end of the day is, do you gain more from separating these groups of people in treating them differently than you do by just treating everybody the same would be the big thing, right? Because you understand that this data kind of leads us, or if you take these extremist positions that I just laid out, it takes us into these worlds where we're essentially creating like subclasses of people, right? And I don't think people would be very happy with that. So is the potential, is the potential civil war that would result from that, is that a good thing? Or is that something that we want to move towards? Or would it be better to just treat people equally and kind of, accept that not everything will work perfect and then just deal with the friction and move from there?
Right, well, But I think my fundamental position on this would be, um, I don't think that building a society around falsehoods would ever turn out to be good. Like, I don't think it's fair to say that, oh, well, blacks are equal to whites. We have to ignore all the scientific data. Therefore, we need to go institute democracy in Africa, and, oh, they're going to elect some great leaders, and they can be just like us Europeans if we give them enough aid money and stuff like that. Like, I don't see that creating anything worthwhile, and that's essentially been the policy of every European country for at least the past 40 years, and it doesn't seem to be working out too good to me. So you would have to explain to me how your policies would be different than the delusion that we're living under now, and how that would actually end up working out in a decent way.
Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, you understand my position as well, right? That we can't go we can't go, even if everything you're saying is true, we can't go off the extreme end of now dividing people up into different classes of people and then restricting certain institutions to some based on ancestry, because that could lead to catastrophic civil unrest, right?
Well, my position is that every that Europe would be primarily European, America would be primarily European, but obviously it could be divided into smaller countries because I think America, as we know, is way too large right now, and I'm fundamentally against the nation state as it is, and I would have prefer a return to kingdom, but I don't think that it's best just to allow Africans to elect their own democracies and decide for themselves. I think it's actually not a good thing to do. I think it would actually be better and make the world a better place for both whites and Africans and Asians and whoever else. If those African countries where they're not capable of electing a government and maintaining a society were colonized, I think it would actually be a good thing for everyone involved if it was done the right way. Of course, it could be done terribly too.
Sure. I don't know if there's any realistic way that that kind of policy could ever be implemented, right? I don't think that would ever happen realistically. You would have to get an entire group of people to buy into this notion that they are unequal in ways of intelligence and that they need to be ruled by other people. I don't think that's very realistic, no?
Well, you don't have to convince the Africans of it because you could probably take 10,000 white men or Chinese men into Africa and take the whole continent within a couple of years, to be honest.
I mean, we
Like,
can't even control people in the Middle East. I don't know if that's true. We still have terrorist attacks in Europe and the United States.
well, for one, the Middle East is an area that's a lot more intelligent than Africans. They usually score in the low 90s, and they're actually the closest people related. They're the closest people related to Europeans that exist currently. So, and also there's different things like ideological influences, and it also begs the question of, do you really think we're using our full military force and actually trying to take the Middle East, or do you think that we're trying to use this policy of egalitarianism and diplomacy to peacefully
Well, the problem is
start regime change?
you can't really combat like terrorist attacks. There's no reasonable way to prevent these things from happening, right?
Right, but terrorist attacks aren't really that major. When
Well,
people
people feel that
actually
way.
cite,
I mean,
yeah,
I
when
agree
people,
with you, but people feel that way.
yeah, I think it's pretty dumb when people cite things like terror attacks and like crime, like it's this major thing that impacts all of society. It's a
But I mean, you could
factor.
expect to see like a huge increase in these as well if you're subjugating unless you're also talking about potentially like exporting all of these types of people out of America as well, so that there wouldn't be a chance for them to rise up or whatever.
Yeah, I would try to execute a peaceful ethnic cleansing, and no, I'm not using that term ironically. I really mean that you could start out by offering, say, $10,000 or $15,000 for Africans to take a plane ride back to Africa and live there and stuff like that, and then you could incrementally increase the suppression of those people, just like Nazi Germany did to the Jews, until eventually they start self-deporting.
Gotcha. I'm just curious, after all of this, why are you religious?
Um, that it's kind of a pretty. I don't feel that's a meaningful question to ask of like, why do I believe in God?
Or
But
rather, or
I
yeah,
can
well,
give you an answer as to why I think religion is important.
does well, but does if religion is important, then do you think that you can invent a belief in God because religion is important? Do you think that's a valid way to?
Well, essentially, this is the problem that every single 19th, 20th, and 18th century philosopher tried to solve, wasn't it? Kant invented a whole rationalization system to try to solve the problem of, well, God is going out, and I don't really believe in this organized religion, but I realize that religion is beneficial to a society. So how do we reconcile the difference? Nietzsche did the same thing. Julius Evola did the same thing. So you're asking me to try to solve something that pretty much every single person in the past 300 years of intellectual merit has tried to solve, and it doesn't seem like any of them have truly succeeded in, oh, can we just invent a religion, or can we just
Well, I guess
create a new religion or whatever?
the interesting thing is that one of the arguments you gave earlier against building a society on equality was that you weren't interested in building a society on falsehoods. So I'm curious how you have that belief, but then are okay with being religious because it gives us some good things.
Well, you're setting up the dichotomy of religion being a falsehood, which I fundamentally reject.
Okay, how about not religion, but the existence of a higher power? On whether you have to make
Once
a value
again,
like a
same
true
thing.
so I don't understand. You don't think you can make a true or false statement on whether or not you can reasonably believe in the existence of a higher power?
No, you can. You can reasonably believe in the existence of a higher power, of course.
And I imagine that you must believe that, right, in order to be religious, or?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm just curious where that belief comes from.
Where the belief in God comes from?
Yeah.
Well, once again, that's not something I'm really prepared to speak on, of like why I believe in a God, and I don't really believe that anyone should have to justify why they believe in a higher power.
Okay. I guess I was just interested because it
said,
seems like everything else you're saying, for all that I disagree with you. I mean, you seem to have a bunch of internal consistency with most of your arguments. So I was just curious how you arrived at the religious point of view, because I would imagine that somebody like you would be a-religious. That would be like my assumption. So I'm just kind of curious in where you get your belief in God from.
well, yeah, but once again, that would take us down a whole different rabbit hole, and it's not a question that I'm fully prepared to answer in the first place. But I could talk about more like why religion is institutionally important for a society and for the souls of a people and stuff like that. But once again, that's still a problem that philosophers have tried to solve for ages. So I don't claim that I can be the chosen one that can solve it when no one else could.
Sure, I understand. I guess the only problem is like I agree with your earlier argument. I don't like to build anything on falsehoods. That's where I differentiate myself between a lot of other people on my side of the political aisle. I don't like to ignore biological truths. Like for instance, like I'll admit that there is a biological difference between men and women that will manifest in certain ways. I don't think that both genders are entirely equal. So I mean, like I will accept biological truths even if they, if they run counterintuitive to things that I believe, then I will change my beliefs to see whatever the truths are. But so as somebody else that believes in the importance of building things on valid, sound structures, it seems strange to want to talk about the benefits of religion while ignoring the underlying thing of whether or not a higher power exists. Like, I mean, like, I understand all the benefits of religion. I mean, I was raised religious. I was Catholic for 16 years. I went to a Jesuit high school, Catholic grade school, and everything. So, I mean, I understand the value of religion and what it can contribute to society, but I have no interest in building a society on falsehoods. So, if the seed is bad, I don't care about the apple, I guess.
Right, and this is the thing that atheists and Christians and different religions have been debating forever, and I don't really want to drag this into a whole area of the atheist versus religion debate because like it's just way too complex of a topic that people have literally spent like hundreds of hours debating between like two people. So I don't feel that would be like a
Fruitful.
sufficient use of time because I don't think we could convince each other either way. I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest a belief in God or the belief in there not being a God either way.
Okay, sure. I mean, I guess I've got a lot of stuff that I'll look into. Are you do you have any other final thoughts or questions or anything like that?
Um, no, I think we've covered most of what I've wanted to talk about. So, at this point, what it will come down to is, I guess, if you accept this data that I've provided with you, if you look into it more and whatever, and then um, how your views will change when you inevitably do, if you have any intellectual honesty.
Sure. All right. Well, I guess after I look into these, I'll try to drop you another DM and we can come and talk about it and regroup.
Huh?
Or
You'll drop me a what?
I'll drop you a DM. I'm sorry, a message on Twitter or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then we can regroup. If I find
Okay.
refutations of most of these things, are you going to dramatically shift your worldview? I'm curious.
Well, yeah, if you can prove if you can find that these things aren't correct and that indeed intelligence is just down to socioeconomic status and different factors that have nothing to do with
Sure.
genetics,
Just
then
to
sure, yeah.
clarify my earlier argument, it sounds semantical, but I mean, you'll agree that there's an important distinction. I'm not making the argument that intelligence is majority determined by environmental factors. All I'm saying is I don't think the argument has been made that genetics are what explain the determining. Or I'm sorry, are what explain the differences between groups. The majority explanation. That was really sloppy. Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference between those two things?
Well, it seems like if that's the case, then you've already dramatically shifted your view from just a few weeks ago. Because I remember a few weeks ago, I don't remember what the video was, but you were talking to someone and you were saying that IQ was maybe like 1% heritable or something. So now you're accepting that
I
it's
don't know if I've ever
majorly
made the
heritable.
statement that
No,
IQ
you
is.
definitely did.
Uh,
Maybe not like 1%, but you said that it was like a minuscule amount of heritability.
maybe what I said. Maybe what I said was. First of all, again, when we're talking about hereditary, we're not talking about the differences between groups. I think general statements that I've made in the past is I believe that intelligence is majorly influenced more by your environment than your genetics. That sounds like a statement I've made in the past. And that you could explain differences between groups majorly by environment, dramatically by environment, maybe 90% or whatever. I could make a statement like that, but I don't think I would have made the statement like genetics determines 1% of your IQ or something like that.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe it
that's
sounds
possible.
sure. And depending on who I'm talking to, I could understand that a certain statement might be interpreted that way. I mean, obviously, you're intelligent. Well, I mean, your brain is fully heritable, right? Like you grow. And again, like I think Murray was the one that gave the example, like, invent a human and remove his brain and see how intelligent the environment it makes him, right? And also, lock a, all right, he might have even wrote this in the book, I think, lock a child in a dark room, 24/7 and see if they develop social skills, right? That both of these things play a major role, but figuring out how much each plays and how much and what the differences can be described as, is very challenging. And I don't believe that I don't believe the genetic side has made a convincing argument yet. And all we can influence on our end is the policy or the environmental side. So I will constantly push for and rail for the environmental side to be improved, to try to improve people's outcomes or outlooks in life, since short of genetic engineering, we can't do much.
Well, yeah, you've made I think I've made a pretty convincing argument without like having sources right in my hands, and I hope you will look into this stuff and have enough intellectual honesty to admit if you were wrong, because like no one is bored, like no one wants to be a race realist in this day and age. Like no one wants to say like, oh yeah, black people are less intelligent than white people in like this society. Like there's no incentive to do that. So like anyone on my side of the fence that's like with me on these issues would be because like they found the evidence. I don't believe that there's any incentive for someone to come here just because they want to feel superior or whatever. Like I don't like in my experience that's not something that goes on in the alt-right a lot.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate the conversation. Any final words?
No, that's it. But thank you for having me on.
All right. I love you, buddy. Be careful. Stay safe. And then hopefully I'll shoot your DM as soon as I've looked into this stuff.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Peace out. Whew. Okay, I want to explain a quick thing real fast, okay? Because I see people in Twitch chat spamming it as well.
Thanks for showcasing this retard to us. Now we all know what type of people we should export or execute when the war starts.
So real fast, I from what I have read, okay, from the literature that I'm familiar with, and he said as much, and I don't. If anybody disagrees with this, feel free to tell me. I've read and heard constantly that intelligence is anywhere from 50 to 80% hereditary, or it's a heritable trait, right? Meaning that you inherit it from your, well, I guess from your father and mother, or mother and mother, father and father, whatever the fuck you people have these days, right? So let me just explain what this means real quick, okay? Because people seem to be very, very confused by this. I was confused by this when I initially read it, but I've had academics clarify this to me so that I understand exactly what this means, okay? So when people say that intelligence is 80% heritable, that doesn't mean that the differences in intelligence between people are explained by that heritability, if that makes sense. So let me give you an example, right? So let's say that we agree that intelligence has this heritability factor, right? All of these things, okay, could come from the same, from the same gene pool, right? And then maybe they grow up slightly differently because of their environment, right? All of these things, okay, could come from the same gene pool, okay? And you could say, oh, well, 0.8 heritability, right? So the problem is that it is a fallacy to say that because if we take the median intelligence between these two groups, we cannot say that this difference that exists between these two groups, this difference is 80% heritability. That is a fallacy, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that. So I'll use the same example I gave before. I'll give a very dramatic example, right? Let's say that you have two genetically identical seeds, okay? These seeds could be 100% genetically identical. And one, you plant it in a lush, fertile valley, okay? And it's got leaves. I don't know how to fucking draw plants, right? And then in another one, you plant it in a very barren place, right? You can have a massive difference in the size of these plants, okay? And this massive difference, even you can get massive differences in the size of plants that are genetically identical, right? You could withhold nutrients from one. You could, and even in real life, your height, your final height can be determined by your nutrition, right? If you're very malnourished, you're not going to grow as tall as you could, right? Just because there is a high heritability, and even in these cases, these are genetically identical, right? So you can't possibly use genes to explain the difference between these things, right? Much the same way that even if both plants then, right, we'll say that they're less than genetically identical, even if these two plants had differences in genes, right, and these were genetically different, even if the heritability of their height is high, the environment could still make up almost all of the difference between these two things. Does that make sense? And I see a lot of people talking about, I see a lot of people in Twitch chat that were screaming about this, like, do you understand the difference between heritability now and heritability not necessarily explaining the differences between groups? Do you guys understand why that's not necessarily, it doesn't logically follow? Do you understand that the genetics of human intelligence is more complicated than the height of bean sprouts? Yeah, but that helps my argument, not yours, right? That doesn't help you.
Serious question. Why don't you ever ask these race realist if they ever been bullied in high school by blacks or even at the workplace or something? I found asking
because I think his arguments were sound. I don't think that that's a legitimate question. Well, when can you use genetics to explain these differences? How do you determine in which case the genes and in which case it's just the environment? Well, that's what's hard. There is no intelligence gene. Now, again, I'm only citing the literature that I'm familiar with, okay, or what I've read as common opinion. And if somebody disagrees, feel free to say, right. From the people that I've spoken to and from what I've read, it seems that geneticists are of the opinion or are of the mindset that it's possible that there are thousands of different genes that contribute a little bit to intelligence. Maybe this gene will have a 1% impact, or this thing will have a 1, or maybe these groups will have a very small impact, and these groups will have a very small impact, right? I have never heard the argument put forth that that there's like a gene, there's like an SNP, a SNP, a single nucleotide polymorphism or whatever. I've never heard the argument that there's like this one allele that like this is the intelligence gene. Like that's not how that works, right? Intelligence is like an emergent thing from a multitude of genetic and environmental factors, right? Heritability doesn't necessarily mean genetic. It means high IQ is correlated with offspring of parents. Oh, that's true too. I'm sorry. You're right. You're absolutely right. Heritability isn't tested only via genetics, or I don't think it has anything to do with genetic cell. It just means that you're more likely to have something in common with an offspring and a parent, right? Sure. Wouldn't looking up averages for population groups compensate for environmental factors? No, it's very, very, very complicated to do that. I mean, different countries have people that live in different ways and have different resources available to them. Different groups of people within countries can live in different ways. Like, is still duoing right now, or is he soloing? Did I already lose him? Oh, fuck, he's already doing with Ghoul. Rip.
You know that no God shit. That upset your mother very much.
It's not no God. It's just God is dead.
Who said that?
Nietzsche. He's a 19th century philosopher from Germany.
Even if God is dead, you're still gonna kiss his ass. Hey!
Okay, it's Nietzsche, not Nietzsche. But that doesn't change the fact that he's one of the most referenced philosophers in pop culture.
Do you have a soulmate?
Right, nice, man. What is my IQ? It is 9 standard deviation is above the norm. My IQ is 487. Fuck this. Ah. What is this?
What is it you wanted me to reconcile myself to? I was born here almost 60 years ago. I'm not going to live another 60 years. You always told me it takes time. It has taken my father's time, my mother's time, my uncle's time, my brother's and my sister's time, my nieces and my nephew's time. How much time do you want for your progress?
Okay. Limeo. Oh god, what is this?
Thanks for showcasing this retard to us. Now we all know what type of people we should export or execute when the war starts.
What is this Twitch clip? Okay.
9 standard deviations above the average male IQ. 9 standard deviations below the average female bench press.
Nice meme, dude. But 10 standard deviations above your fucking dick size, bitch.
Why is intelligence a big deal? If certain groups are a bit or less intelligent than others, it doesn't necessarily make a big impact now because not many people work in or contribute to fields that require high intelligence.
I disagree. I think, fuck, what did I read recently? It was making this argument that intelligence is becoming a very, very valued thing in society, where more intelligent people have a lot more opportunities available to them than less intelligent people, so it's something that demands attention. Oh yeah, the Charles Murray guy seemed to talk about that a lot. Alright. How do you personally define intelligence? I don't fucking know. Yeah, that was the Bernard Jewstein guy. IQ is what we try to use to gauge intelligence right now, right? Streamer goes insane. Oh, hold on, I want to watch this. One sec. This isn't like NSFW or whatever, right? Or there's no tags on it, right? Okay. Alright, good luck. Here we go, boys. Blames his only viewer.
Right.
He had one viewer? Hold on.
Oh, okay. They made some changes to the game overnight. It's funny though, I just like to talk in the chat. Goon, why do you keep coming back here? Look, you're fucking me checking your chat prevented me from getting in there in time to pull him, and I'm gonna lose this game thanks to you. That's how much of a cancer you are. You know, every time goons are in my life, something bad happens to me. Like, always something. But when they're not, good stuff happens. Rift Herald is like a ward now. I didn't even know what it did.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I lost the game thanks to this goon trash. Yeah, I lost the game thanks to you, you fucking piece of shit. Get the fuck out of my stream, you fucking dumb asshole. Motherfucker, you see his fucking parasitic cancer talk? Get out of my stream, you assholes. Get the fuck out of my stream. Get out of my fucking stream.
This guy's Silver 4, apparently.
Get out of my stream, you assholes. Get the fuck out of my stream. Get out of my fucking 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 stream.
This guy had 1 viewer? Blames his only viewer. Okay. Can we take a moment real fast to feel that there are probably moments like this that occur every day on Twitch, and we haven't seen them because they're just not popular enough for us to appreciate their rage. Can we take a moment to feel bad about that? I'm gonna get a bullet here. I'll be right back in 1 second.
As an African American, it is kind of disheartening to hear that so many of your countrymen
Oh shit, I'm
believe
sorry.
you and everyone like you are less intelligent than others. Even worse, because of your birth, not your upbringing.
Hold on. Oh yeah, anyway, I'm sorry. I was muted when I said this. Look, I have a Facebook page now, okay? I made it off of my main one so that you can actually follow my shit. I don't know what I'll do with it yet, but if you want to follow it. Just make me look better. Okay. I'm going to try this, okay? Because I'm going to make a couple statements, okay? I think it is very important to understand the people that you argue against, firstly, okay? Secondly, I think that it is important to discuss the arguments of a person that you're arguing against at their strongest points, okay? To give them as much leeway as possible to construct the strongest argument possible in order to make sure that you have the best argument possible, right? It's easy to tear down fallacies. It's easy to tear down people being idiots. But if you're charitable to your opponent and you build their argument up as much as you can, and then you can still tear it down, it ensures that you are hopefully reasonably in the right, okay? Thirdly, hold on, I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. When we're talking about arguments of fact, let's try not to assign moral judgment to them before we get there, okay? And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I've tried really hard over the past month or two, okay? This is something that I feel very strongly about. And it kills me this is happening on my subreddit, and I take responsibility for this, okay? I'm trying really, really, really hard to avoid using labels. I think that labels are a distraction. They don't help. They only serve to obfuscate, and they don't provide clarity ever. They're only negatives, right? No argument has ever been made better by identifying somebody as a neoliberal, as an SJW, as an alt-righter, as a conservative liberal, whatever. All these things do is serve to confuse people. It's an attempt to apply... Or even if it's an attempt to understand, it oftentimes fails because you'll apply beliefs to people that they don't necessarily have, right? So trying to avoid using labels. But anyway, stop being a classical liberal, yeah. So the argument, so let me read your statement, okay? And then I'm going to address this as though I believe in that guy's arguments, okay? So your argument is, as an African American, it is kind of disheartening to hear that so many of your countrymen believe you and everyone like you are less intelligent than others, even worse because of your birth, not your upbringing. So the argument that a person on that side would give is they would say that the reason why I am discussing these facts is because I actually have compassion for you, and it is the opposite. It's not because I hate you, it's because I want to understand you and I want to design a world where everybody functions optimally, right? So the argument would be something along the lines of, I think that we have created a world where black people are set up to fail. Black people are told to go to school and attend higher education, but when you look at the dropout rates and you look at how much difficulty black people have, we're actually setting them up to fail because this isn't something that they're capable of right from the start, right? So if you can get over like the dehumanizing aspect of it, you can kind of get to the meat of the kind of argument that they're trying to present. The only reason that I say that is just so that you can attack things on a reasonable or logical level and not try to do it on an emotional or moral level, because technically you can argue for the emotional or morality of what they're saying. You don't want to focus on the morality of what they're saying. You want to focus on the facts, right? And you want to go where the facts take you. If you focus on the morality of what they're saying, that you get into very strange arguments that they might not necessarily have fault in, right?
Hey Destiny, I got banned because I forgot to let go of that when I read. I'll be back in 10 minutes ILY, for self. Bonus meme. That was a really good point you just made.
Yeah, anyway. Although I do agree with you that it's pretty shitty that people have these opinions. I don't mind talking to people like him because I feel like that was a pretty intelligent person. It's pretty disappointing when people of far lesser intelligence hold these views. Also, I guess to some extent I'm kind of in a boat with you because I think that me being 50% Cuban, even if I don't look like a Cuban, would technically hold me back because it means I have a lesser brain. I'm not sure. I should have asked him what he felt like about... I'm still not sure if Cubans count as Hispanic or not. I read contradictory things on the internet, but it seemed like chat came to a consensus that Cubans were Hispanic. I'm not sure, but
Can you unban me from SendPay? It's from 2016 and I am a reformed individual mostly from your wisdom.
I love you, buddy, but your name is literally Filthy Goyim. Why not make a new account and then I never know who you are? So the real question is, because I don't know how much my Cubanness is holding me back, am I... Wow, that's a horrible bell curve. Am I actually just a moderately intelligent white man, or am I a hyper-intelligent Cuban man? Or does it exist somewhere in the middle? Do you average out these two bell curves? Can you explain why that guy was smart? He cited a bunch of studies he couldn't present. He was just repeating talking points. Are you memeing or am I missing anything? His arguments were internally consistent, and he seemed to have a decent understanding of how arguments are constructed. Dude, if somebody can do that, I'll give them a fuck ton of leeway just because it seems so fucking hard to find people to talk to that aren't total fucking idiots. The argument will come down to the empirical evidence. I need to look into this stuff. I'll probably try to bring back some of the genetics dude that we talked to last time. I'll try to bring him on to see if he's familiar with any of these studies, and then we'll talk about them, and then we'll kind of go over. Oh, I'm still mixing up the sound versus valid shit. Dude, please, did you see? Tell me what Athena's doing nowadays. He's fucking boosted by account sharing, and wow, I got to 2.5. I don't even follow Athena shit. I don't care. Did you check out that alternative hypothesis website? No, I have. I mean, I've glanced in it. The dudes that run the site tweeted at me once, but I didn't feel equipped to have a conversation with them. Oh, I sent a message to Steele, but I think he's already playing with the other dude now. So he might be playing with Kyle. You mentioned before that more intelligent people are superior. What did you mean by this? Do you think that intelligence is the only factor in superiority? So when I say this, what I mean is that all else equal, et ceteris paribulum, whatever the fuck that saying is, right? All else equal, being intelligent versus being unintelligent is strictly better. As in, if you are more intelligent than your equivalent part, that it will produce strictly better outcomes for you in society. I don't know if you can say that with other traits necessarily, right? Like being stronger is good, but does it necessarily produce better outcomes for you in society? I don't know if that's necessarily true, right? Whereas being more intelligent allows you to do better in school. It allows you to get better jobs, which allows you to earn more money. It allows you to spend your money in more financially prudent ways, right? Being intelligent seems to be a massive benefit to your navigating of society, right? It seems to help a lot, more so than any other singular trait. I mean, other than like being healthy or whatever, right? Maybe you should pick up Sean and Jen. I'm trying not to circle jerk because my subreddit is starting to pull really, really hard to the left. So I need to be arguing with, I need to find people on the left to argue with. The more that I argue with people on the right, the more people come to this assumption that I'm a very, very, very left-leaning person when I'm not. Actually, a lot of my economic views have actually shifted more to the libertarian end of things as I've been talking and reading and doing shit over the past few months. So I don't want people to get this idea. It's not that I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I just don't want people to feel like I'm an extremely left-leaning person and that when they come into my subreddit and they start talking that they're okay to like share extremely left-leaning things when I'm not necessarily taking these positions and I don't advocate for these positions. When has politics ever been about economics? I can't tell if you're being serious or not, because I've heard so many stupid statements that that could be a serious statement. Are you going to build an AR at some point? I mean, I want to, but the money, dude. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go get a bullet real quick, okay?
Time to break, robot lady chat. Bomb 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 bomb. Bomb 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 bomb.
Nice. So, I can't tell if this would be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm curious. Nathan is going to be in summer vacation soon, and he is going to Oh, please answer the econ question. Oh, I don't know. Fuck that. Well, or what? Hold on. What things have I shifted towards the center on? Not shifting towards the center, but pretty far to the right, or the libertarian end of things. Like, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if licensing or any of these things are good ideas. I basically I feel like most leftist policy doesn't respect the way that markets function very well. So I wonder, like, in terms of like licensing and in terms of different types of regulations, if these things actually benefit people as much as people claim they do, or if they end up just being hurdles that fuck up markets and cause things to be unnecessarily expensive. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Nathan is coming up to summer vacation soon. One of the things that I was thinking of doing, because I let him play computer games and shit, I can get him to do any behavior I want if I reward him for it. It seems to be a pretty easy thing to do. If I promise him like chocolate milk or something, I seem to be able to get him to do whatever I want. I've thought about buying like a first grade math textbook and then kind of teaching him first grade math over the summer so that he'll be ahead when he goes into first grade. Do you think this would be a good thing, or would it be a negative thing? Would he just get bored in class and be disruptive, or would it like put him ahead, or do you think this is a dumb idea, or what?
Hey Destiny, did you know you look like a 9-year-old while driving? Also, did you know you walk like a cute girl? Smiley face. I am IP banned, my dude. I made new account, but I am still banned. I just wanna post memes in the big boy chat, please, senpai.
I unbanned you. You must have an AKA that's still banned. I don't know what all your AKAs are. Email me. All right. Game soon? Yeah, we're just gonna do Factorio memes with Kyle.
You vape it. Vaping caffeine.
Oh shit, wait. No, wait, we can watch these, right? These are okay? Never mind.
Oh, that's thick.
You want to see more?
Yeah. Is this all yours?
This is all mine.
What the fuck, homie? You got the good shit.
It's called Vape Nation.
Vape Nation.
One nation under vote.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
That's GX350.
Holy shit. That gets, that's some vape right there.
Yeah. And what's this?
But does it have caffeine?
It has nicotine.
Oh, Nick.
Leah is giving birth.
Ipsum, thank you for the
Oh no.
10-month resub, man. I thought I was good at depth too. Look at that potato score. Wow. We had one AFK, but I did not help at all. That was just bad. I'm gonna try again. Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's what people say. I go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay. At least that's what people say. That's what people say. But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be alright. 'Cause the player's gonna play, 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 and the haters gonna hate, hate.
Shit, I guess I watch really soft gay porn. I guess I do. Shit.
Before inflation is now $8 an hour before inflation, and that's because it was passed. There was a minimum wage, and it's been changed a few times, but for the most part, it hasn't, and that's in part due to the loss of power of unions, because unions are the type of people who would advocate for higher minimum wages, or specifically unions in whatever businesses are getting paid minimum wage, which once upon a time might have been manufacturing, but became retail, an area where there never got to be any unions, because by that point they'd already figured out how to kill unions.
It's the least I can do for the great service you provide. Carrot.
Not much. Just eating this sandwich. A turkey sandwich. I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy John's, but they have a drive-thru. So you know what? That gives them an edge. That gives them an edge.
Have you considered trying to
I think
teach
so.
him
Well, in
through
Omaha,
an
they closed all the
educational
Quiznos in
PC
Omaha
game?
for like one.
Not sure
quite
how
a while
common
ago.
they are now. But my
I learned
parents
this one
did it
because like
for
there was,
me, and
we
I
used to eat
feel
there in
like it
college
was
a lot. And there was
beneficial.
one semester in college
He
where I
shouldn't
went
need
like
to
the
get
very
ahead
beginning
of
of the semester.
schooling if
I
he
went to go to the
inherited your
Quiznos. The Quiznos was not
489
there.
IQ,
That was
though.
very sad.
Dude, not Factorial. Factorial is the shit, but Quiznos was the shit, dude.
Quiznos was the shit, man.
Or I guess it's just like, I don't know, there's hot sandwiches in general that aren't Subway. I'm not sure.
Subway is pretty low quality. Well, they're fine. Subway's fine.
They're not
It's
bad.
just-
Their vegetables are high quality. I feel like their meats just kind of suck.
it's nothing special, in my opinion. Like I've been to, I like Subway, but I mean, like there are a lot of other sandwich shops I like better. And I do miss Quiznos. So that guy enlighten you? You learn a bunch of stuff?
I don't know. Wait, do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I
This
mean,
is a
again.
good question. I'm gonna go with yes. I feel like by some stupid definition, you could call a hot dog a sandwich. That being said, I don't know that I would ever refer to it as a
Thank you. Here is what I think is the way you define it, okay? There has never been a point in human history where somebody said to somebody else, "Can you please bring me a sandwich?" And then they brought them a hot dog, and that was acceptable, all right?
That's good. I'd accept that. I feel like by some dumb standard, you could call a hot dog a sandwich, but I would never do that.
It would be arbitrary as fuck, right?
Mm-hmm. It would be. Where did that come from? Who called a hot dog a sandwich? Was it someone in your chat?
People have made these claims before, Kyle. What is Squad built on Arma 3?
No, Squad is its own thing.
Doubt it.
It's an alpha.
You know I made the game,
But
right?
I mean, I just joined off you. Did you make a game?
Yeah, I did, Kyle.
Are we making a new game?
Yeah, the last save got deleted somehow, Kyle.
If you make a new game, if you're making, I can't join this. Why can't I establish? I almost feel like we just want to make the starting size a little bit bigger because I don't want to deal with keeping on top of aliens again for another 20 hours.
I'll help you with it, okay? Now that I remember how to play Factorio, Kyle, I can be a more contributing team member.
Are you saying that you weren't a very contributing team member before? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's entirely possible that that could be the case, yeah.
I mean, you did the train network and you did the oil.
Yeah, but the train sucked, and the oil can be made better.
I'm just trying to think of what you actually did. I guess you made red and green science, even though I kind of redid the green. Did you miss out on playing PUBG with Steel?
Yeah, I think because he's playing with his buddy. He's got better friends than me now, I guess.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry. Is he higher ranked than you?
Yeah. Wait, how do you pick up things? Off the ground. It's F, right? Oh, never mind. I picked it up. I was having trouble. Wait, are you joining?
I can't join your game. I'm restarting the client.
Wait, what happens when you try to join?
Says unable to establish server connection.
Did I fuck something up?
I don't know. Did you make a multiplayer game or a single player game?
Is there a way to check?
I don't know. You're the one who always makes the game. Join game. Connecting to game. Okay, we're good. Restart it and hope it fixes things. All right, what do we got here? Did you... Is this normal? I feel like all this ore is really fucking close.
We just got lucky. I didn't change anything.
Alright.
Yeah, it is alright, Kyle.
We're fine with... I think we need to get...
Are you fucking kidding me, Kyle? You're already fucking my shit up?
Leave the 2 going for now and let's get iron going. I'm sorry if I'm questioning
Are you
your
sorry, though?
authority. Yes, I'm always sorry.
Doubt it. Ask Kyle what he thinks about Nathan this summer. Oh, I wanted to buy a first grade math book for Nathan and then make him do it over the summer. Do you think this is a good idea or is it a bad idea? Will I rob him of his childhood?
I don't know. Don't go too hard in the paint, but...
It seems like I can motivate him to do most things if I put like there are things that he wants, like mainly gum, chocolate milk, and then getting to play games or watch YouTube. And if I promise him these things, I can usually manipulate him to do whatever I want in terms of like behavior. So I feel like
I was about to say, Don't just force him to fucking.
Well,
do
yeah. So
math.
like, I feel like using rewards, I could very easily get him to like plow through. Like, I'm actually. It sounds really dumb to say it now, or it sounds hypocritical because I'm out of school. But summer vacation seems like a really weird. It seems like a bad idea from like an educational point of view. You remember going back to school, like having to spend like a few weeks like getting back into things and catching up and everything? I don't know. It just seems really time inefficient. I'm not sure.
I was a better student than you. No offense.
Regardless if you were a better student, it's undeniable that you spend like the first week or two like getting back into the swing of things in school, right? Like the class.
I suppose.
Yeah, like it's a waste of time, and also the last week is generally like a big jerk off. The last week or two can be, you know, getting ready for finals and everything, and then a couple days that are just kind of wasted like doing fuck all. And then there's just a 3-month summer downtime. I don't know.
Got to give those teachers a vacation.
Well, but then a lot of them do work and whatnot anyway. I don't know.
Do they? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. If you use it as a motive, I mean, like if you use it, if you're giving him something he wants, I don't see any downside to that. Other than he might be really fucking bored at school.
Yeah, that was the thing I was worried about. I wonder if that's worth... If there's a chance that he could become, like, disruptive in class or something. Because he's not doing anything.
Is he in first grade now, or is he in kindergarten?
Kindergarten now.
Gotcha.
If Nathan wanted to get a degree in some BS field that doesn't pay well, would you let him? I don't. I heavily disagree with this notion that college is only to get a job. I think that's a cancerous thought. As long as he can financially... I mean, hopefully I'll be making enough money that I could help him out a little if he needs to, but no, I would want him to do whatever he's most wants to do.
It's also one thing to get a degree in some useless degree at a state college and some useless degree at a college that has, like, ridiculous tuition.
Yeah, sure.
Like...
Teach him rhetoric so he can argue with his teachers.
What are we doing first? Electricity, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't even take all of them. I left the right one for you.
We don't have any copper mining, right?
That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna get that up now.
Bam, there you go, buddy.
Oh, boom. This burner.
What if Nathan got to be an evangelical Republican? Well, calm down there, buddy. Let's not get too extreme. Okay, you're working on power?
I will next, yeah. So we need... Where's the bus gonna go? Probably south? South of this water and then going straight south, I would assume? Or we could go south of this water and going straight west, actually, too.
Yeah, that looks good. Can we leave markers on the map or anything? I don't
think so.
But just south of the water going straight west, probably, yeah. Why would you want to teach Nathan before he gets to school? I don't know. I want him to be as successful as possible, right? And if I have the opportunity to teach him math, I don't know. It just seems like it would be really good. Like if you could go into school already having like the first year of math down, it seems like it would help, no?
Where did you end up on buying a phone case? I just cracked my iPhone 7 and I've never dropped a phone properly before, and in hindsight wish I'd got a case. You should get one. These things are crazy fragile.
Maybe, dude. Why not teach him like music or something? I don't know. Conditioning your child is a bad long-term strategy for his motivation. Just encourage what interest he does have related to critical skills. What if he doesn't have many interests related to critical skills? I'm gonna start crafting inserters.
We could probably do a little bit more iron.
Okay, sure.
Just two more maybe. Because we're gonna need we want to belt coal over here.
Teach him creative and problem-solving skills. That'll help him learn faster rather than just being better at math. Well, I mean, you can always learn that. I don't know. How would I teach him creative problem-solving skills?
Honestly,
what does that
trying
even
to
mean?
trying to teach him to read is probably more important than math.
Yeah, probably, but
I would say by a significant margin.
yeah, but I fucking hate reading. And also, how do I get him to read? I would have to like quiz him at the end after the book, I guess, to see if he actually read it.
I don't know.
Or I can make
dude.
him read out loud to me, I guess. Never mind.
But like, I feel like that's way more important for a first grader.
Yeah, probably. Or I mean, I don't disagree. I think reading is the most important skill that you'll pick up through all of school because it helps in every single subject.
Yeah. How much of the ACT are you fucked if you don't have good reading comprehension?
All of it.
Pretty
Except for
much.
maybe the math section. Yeah.
Yeah.
Classical literature? Oh, that sounds like cancer, dude. I'd probably try to get him to read Harry Potter or something. I don't know what he can read that's age appropriate, that like he could handle.
Harry Potter is probably a little above a first grader.
Yeah, probably. Sit him down with Hearthstone and see if he can get to Legend before you do.
Oh my god.
Nice me. Artemis Fowl is probably on the same reading level as Harry Potter. I'll make the power lines. Oh, you already have them? Did you read Artemis Fowl? Yeah, 3 or 4 of them. Holy shit, Kyle, it's so loud.
I'm sorry, that was my bad. I never realized how loud that is.
It's super fucking loud. You should go watch the VOD. Holy fuck, it sounded like lightning was tearing through your fucking home. I just jacked all that shit.
Goddamn. Alright. So now... and then we needed like one pipe between these, right? Because otherwise...
Do you?
I think you do, because it's like, if you have a giant block of them, you'll never get power to the middle.
Oh, they have to be hooked up to a power thing? It doesn't flow through or something?
Yeah, like if I take this one...
Okay.
I think
mean,
it does.
if you had medium pulse, that'd be different, but I understand what you're saying, sure.
Yeah, so like if I do this... Yeah, see that one's still... Where the fuck's my juice? Alright, so we need to mine the fuck out of some iron next. Didn't you listen to like the last Comey hearing? Wasn't there one of those today?
Yeah, but it's 4 hours long. Why do you want to listen to it?
I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna make it 4 hours. I don't know.
I mean, we can turn it on if you want.
Nah, I was just curious. Man. You just seem to always be doing the James Comey stuff.
Yeah, when I have the time to. But I still have things I'm supposed to be working on in real life. Or, well, I guess related to my video game stuff. I'm getting all my shit set up. I saw one big YouTube video to record too. I'm supposed to be doing that today, but instead I'm slacking, so... Yeah, my schedule tomorrow is fucked as well. I've got to clear the whole day to work. You're fucking everything up. I'm supposed to be playing Chrono Trigger, Kyle.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Some guy named No Mans wants to come in and argue ethnic cleansing. I'm good. I'm good on that for now. Thank you, though.
Oh, shit. Nice job. You knew exactly what I wanted. guess I'll just. Where do I want to build? Where should I build the furnace array?
Wherever. The bus is going down below, and we'll redo everything when we get better furnaces, so.
I'm just thinking for how easy it's going to be. I guess I build it. I guess I build it by the coal, and then I just belt in the iron. Well,
Whatever
now,
makes you happy, Kyle.
Steven, I am only happy when there is a incredibly efficient large factory. I'm just gonna get support.
You think it's better to team out the practical value amount? I don't know. I'm hoping that... I think I'll do reading. That's what we'll focus on. I just wish once he gets better on that and he can play better games, maybe he can get into doing better things. I don't know.
Go play an old RPG. Well, actually, would he even be into that? What's a game that has a lot of text? Go play Undertale with him.
Any old game?
Undertale has no voice acting. That's a pretty kid-friendly game.
You think Undertale is for kids, Kyle? Quoted.
I said kid-friendly. But, you know, close enough. Okay.
If you're interested in learning more about investing in finance, dude, I don't need to learn anything about investing in finance. I'm a fucking master trader, dude. I sold my Twitter stocks again today. God damn. I don't know how it happened, but Twitter grew like 26% in the past 3 days. So I was able to sell all my shares at a pretty massive gain. I thought I had originally bought all these research shares at 19 a pop, but it was actually like 16.50 or something. So I made out pretty well. I got like masterful returns on all my Twitter stock. On both of the big sales that I made, so I feel good. I feel like a master trader. I'm probably gonna be done streaming pretty soon here. Just take it up full time.
Gotcha. How many shares did you actually buy?
Well, not much, I guess. Depending on who you are. I had 446 shares. So I think I bought for 7,400 and sold for 86. Let me check. Hold on. What happened to the long haul on Twitter? Yeah, when they get a new CEO. And it's probably going to go down before it goes up again. If it goes down to like 14, I'll probably buy again. Until we lose all our money. Yeah, I bought him at 1662 for 7,400, and then I sold today for like 82, I think. And then I made a profitable trade earlier on them as well, so we're good. We made out good. We made out well. We're master investors now, dude.
What a fucking scumbag day trader, man. Contributes nothing to society. He's fucking taking advantage of me and my retirement fund.
Now I can go around and trigger anybody that does investing and tell them that I consider myself to be a master trader because I profited off of 4 trades.
I know how you feel. I bought 10 shares of Tesla at like 200, and now it's at like 330 or something.
God damn.
I too.
You're there too.
I too am
And a master trader, yeah.
I too am a master trader.
I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at Amazon and Amazon.
I keep wanting to buy Amazon, but it keeps going. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, well,
because
I was gonna reinvest all my Twitter shit into fucking Amazon. Does Amazon pay dividends? Do you know?
No, Amazon
okay.
is like super growth oriented.
Well, they're like, yeah, but they're like super growing. Their 1 year return is like fucking like 40%.
It's ridiculous. I just can't pull the trigger on them.
Yeah, because they keep going up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do you buy a
Like,
stock at all-time highs? It feels like you're retarded, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Obviously, we're just not master investors yet.
I guess. Oh, man.
But I've been looking at that for a long time. I almost bought Tesla at 180, and I almost bought way more of it. But then I'm like, nah, you're not a gambler.
Well, I mean, yeah, let's be fair,
It'll be
right? That's
fun
all
little-
Tesla is literally gambling, right? It's all based on speculation.
Yep.
And future potential, yeah. And like
There
half
was
of this
100
is like gated behind like major scientific breakthroughs and shit. So it's like, fuck, dude.
Well, it's like the one thing that they had going for them is that this year they opened that massive fucking battery plant.
Sure.
So it's
But
like,
you have to
okay,
keep in mind that the market is probably factoring in a lot of that as well, right? Like people
Maybe,
probably
yeah.
knew that they were going to.
I don't know. I mean, it went up. It's up like 55% since I bought it. So.
Oh well, I don't know.
So maybe the market didn't factor that in because fuck. I look at like the thousands of dollars I have in index funds, and then like the 10 shares I have of Tesla, and I look at the return I got on that.
Don't be retarded and fuck yourself. Like,
Oh, no,
I'm just gonna
no,
swap these.
Oh no.
If I had
This is like-
$100,000 in Twitter, I would have made $20,000 instead of just 200. You know, or like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not that fucking stupid, but still, it's like, man.
Where the fuck is our copper at, Kyle? What the fuck is going on?
I don't know. What
What are you doing?
tell me?
What are you even fucking doing right now?
I have a furnace array that I built, and I need to just get the fucking I need to get the iron down here, and I need to build a bunch of fucking inserters. Doop, doop, doop. Oh god, I have to fucking belt this so far.
When you find out about margin and leverage, listen, dude, I don't do that shit, alright? I only trade physical securities. I need real
Physical
securities.
securities?
Not options, okay? We don't do that shit.
So do you have a bunch of belt? What do you have? Do you have a bunch of resources on you? Can you help with this?
I don't have fucking anything, Kyle.
Because we need to belt all this. We need to belt iron over here.
I just want to automate track.
Well, we need a lot of iron for that. And once we get the iron belted over, we can automate track. Wait, how am I going to do this?
Right, I messaged Steel. Calm down, guys. Alright, I might ditch you for Steel, okay? Because I've ditched Steel like the past like 5 nights in a row. It's not fair,
I know.
okay?
I know, Steve. It's just not fair. Life isn't fair.
Good thing
We are
that we
not-
are of the superior white race, so we can identify that. Oh, but Steel is actually beating all of us because he's fucking Jewish. So he's got to have like the
really?
master fucking genes. Yeah, dude.
I didn't actually know that. Are Jews the master race?
Yeah, they survived the Holocaust, dude. They gave us Albert
that make
Einstein.
How did you pronounce that?
Einstein, Kyle. It's how you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm not
Is
even
it?
joking, yeah.
I was unaware of this too. I'm just...
Athene always pronounced his name Einstein, and I wanted to make fun of him for it, so I looked it up, and then I found out that's how you're actually supposed to pronounce his name, so.
Gotcha.
Wait, does Steel actually need to do it, buddy, or is he being retarded? I can't tell. I messaged him on Skype. I don't know if he's being serious or not. Kyle, I'm in speech therapy. Did I tell you this? I finally got
I've been
a speech.
talking about it forever.
I'm finally doing it, Kyle. I believe in myself. In 1 month, I'm gonna be making my S's anatomically correctly. It's gonna be the most amazing thing in the world, Kyle. They'll never call me Goat Man again.
I mean, they still might call you Goat Man.
Maybe. What do you need to run this track down to?
Into there. I need to get iron into that splitter.
Oh, into there.
Into the splitter. There's only one splitter. Do I care about this tiny little thing of copper? Probably not. We're just going straight through it.
Fucking dumpster, dude.
Nice.
Wait, where the fuck
Will
is...
you marry
oh.
me, Kyle?
Does Nathan have go too? Nathan's speech is more fucked than mine is. But he's actually got an excuse. Wait, what is this? Oh, track. He's actually got an excuse and I really don't.
What's his excuse?
He has a Vanderwood syndrome? Wait, where does this track need to go to? Oh, never mind. Fuck, I was going the right way. It can cause some physiological deformalities. Wait, why do you think his speech was so delayed? Did you think I just wasn't teaching him to talk? Wait, hello?
Hi.
Oh.
You're obviously not talking to me, so.
No, I was. Wait, what
I
was
didn't say anything about his speech being delayed.
Oh, wait, are you not aware that his speech is like really kind of fucked?
Not really. I
Oh.
mean, I don't really listen to your kid talk.
Okay, never mind. Fuck you.
What?
Never mind. I didn't know. I had no idea. Fuck. He oh yeah, he's got Vanderwood. It causes some physical fucky things that go on. Although his isn't that bad, and it seems like he's growing out of it. But one of the problems was that you have a soft palate in the back of your throat that closes, that allows you to make pressure so that you can make consonant noises, right? Like if you make like the letter like T, you know how you have to close the back? You can't do that if you're breathing out of the sound, right? Yeah. But his throat couldn't close in the back, so he had a lot of trouble doing consonants. But it seems like most of that is closed up now, so I guess he's growing out of it.
Oops, he's all backward.
Why are you so concerned with the way your mouth moves? Maybe it's just me, but you're at a stage in life where I wouldn't give a shit as long as it's not causing a massive physiological problem. I don't know, it's just a distraction. And it's technically something that I can fix, right? So why not fix it?
Oh, this belt is so fucking slow.
Vanderwood is autosomal dominant, so do you or your ex have it, or are you cucked? Oh, I think Rachel has it, because she has a double uvula. Is that a real word?
Goat Man
Is that the thing in the back of your throat?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the ways that Vanderwood can manifest, so she would have it. But I don't think that But that's it. But yeah, apparently Vanderwood can present in a lot of different ways, so she doesn't have it like severely. It was like that was like the only way that you can tell. If you have a dominant trait, and that means that his children doesn't, if his children don't have it, assuming he has children, does that mean that you can like breed, you can breed that trait out and it'll disappear?
If you have, wait, say that again. If you have a dominant trait.
If you have a dominant trait, right, that means that if you've got a recessive and a dominant, then phenotypically it'll present as though it's there. But if you have a child that doesn't have it because they inherit like, am I making sense? If they have like two recessives, then that means it won't be there?
Well, if they have two recessives, they mean that means it'll present. Usually if it's a dominant trait, it has to be dominant. You know, you have to have two. If it's a dominant trait, then one dominant and one recessive will mean it'll be there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, never mind. Yeah, never mind. I fucked that up hardcore. Wait, hold on. Wikipedia says that Vanderwood is autosomal dominant. So do you or your ex have it, or are you cucked? What does that mean, autosomal dominant? Do you know what that means, Kyle?
Does that mean that... Well, usually shit traits are usually recessive. So maybe he's saying it's not recessive?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the...
I don't know, man. Biology was a long fucking time ago.
Not as long as fucking your mom got him.
Indeed.
Oh, autosome means non-sex chromosome. Gotcha.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, because then the sex chromosome stuff, like color blindness, is on the sex chromosome, is on XY, and that makes it even more complicated, right? I don't know.
I think fuck, it's too complicated. I don't understand the mechanics of it. The way that I understand it was the reason why colorblind is so much more likely to appear in men is because it's something that appears on the X chromosome.
Yes, it's on the X, and we have an X and a Y.
Yeah,
there's
so
no
if
way
you've got a fucked copy, women have a backup, but men don't, is the way that I
Yes.
understand it.
I think that's 100% correct. That sounds like the
100%, Kyle?
I think that's a 100% correct.
Uh-oh.
All right, you can automate belt now.
Really? Because all I see is fucking iron down here, Kyle.
That's what you need to automate belt.
Yeah, no, I was just fucking with you.
I thought you were trying to be hurtful there for a second. Actually, I totally lied. I am going to run track around this iron patch, or this copper patch, and use it because it's going to be easier to get shit to. So, does Steel not need a partner?
I don't know. I can't tell if he's fucking with me or not. I mean, he hasn't messaged me back on Skype, so I'm assuming he doesn't. That means bans for everybody in chat that said that he did need me. By the way, guys, get ready for him.
Oh, man.
He said to play a solo. Yeah, but I think he's making fun of me saying that, because usually when I'm going to be busy for like 2 hours, I'll say like play a couple solo games if I'm about to debate somebody. So I think that he might be doing that, like, oh, go play a solo or whatever, right, for the rest of the night, I'm guessing? I don't know, I can't tell. I don't know when people are being serious or not. I'm gonna get my hands on a police scanner by tomorrow and do some nightcrawler shit. Is that, are police scanners legal? I'm trying to remember if that was okay or not.
I think so.
Are they? I thought I read or heard
sure.
somewhere that you're actually not even allowed to legally monitor those frequencies. I could be totally wrong, I'm not sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to transmit.
Yeah, because you need a license to do that, I would imagine. I know it's also illegal to jam, but does it depend on the state? So there are some states where it's illegal? I'm not sure.
That could be it. That could be it. I could see it being a state law.
Have you heard anything about the firefighter police union fights going on right now in Omaha?
Oh, is that heating up again? I remember the thing years ago about like their pensions, how they could like take a bunch of overtime in their last year and then spike their pensions.
Yeah, that was last time. That was like 8 years ago or something. There was a lot of fighting over that. But apparently there's a new thing going on now, and I'm not sure. Now they're like the police union and the firefighter union are fighting each other now, and they're using like the mayor as their thing to do it. But I'm not entirely sure what the fights are over. It sounds pretty memey. Okay, Kyle, this will be a bus to end all buses.
Remember, so what do we want? We want, so iron. I don't even have anything to write with. Oh, I do have something to write with. So
Well,
we
just
want,
tell me
like-
because I'm making it now. So.
Well, we need to make sure you have a bunch of room on the top. Like, if you're going west with that bus, you don't have enough room to the north of it.
Why?
We won't be able to build anything.
Well, because of the water or
Is it
whatever?
easy? Yeah, like it might be easier to go south with the bus.
Yeah, I see a big copper field though that we might run into. So.
I don't know. We got a good amount of copper north of this. And then, look at all the fucking trees to the west.
Well, we're gonna have to cut them down, Kyle.
So we need four iron rows and 4 copper.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go east. Okay. We can
Or
always
east?
we can fill in some of that water with turf if we need to. Okay.
Why east?
I don't know. Why not?
You seem very.
Okay, we'll go west.
Well, I mean, I was thinking south, but whatever.
Oh, I just want to. There's like that big copper thing right there. I don't want to run into.
All right. Well, just make sure, or I guess if you want to go east, or maybe it is better to go east, but just go south farther. Because we need to have room to actually build shit above the bus. And I don't want to fill in water. That takes forever.
God damn it.
So green. Steel.
Okay, I'm going west.
You know what, you do, as I said, just make sure I have room to build on both sides of it. And you do whatever the fuck you feel like is right.
Well, renegade dipshit being fucked from the game.
Wait, you can hear me, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I didn't see anything happen.
Oh. Hey, it was a false positive. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need green chips and plastic and steel.
So, how much are you gonna put in between each lane?
Probably 4.
Because it's okay. So 4 iron, 4 copper, 2 green, 2 steel, and probably 1 battery, 1 plastic.
2 green, 2 steel. And then plastic and what?
Plastic and batteries.
Do we really need a special thing for batteries?
Batteries for sure. I would almost say, God, it's just going to be easier if we do. Batteries for sure. Batteries are more important than plastic. Because you think batteries we use for accumulators, we use them for turrets, they're used in one of the science packs. I think they're just a direct input in one of the science packs. Plastic, I think the only thing we use is red chips, but I mean, we need a lot of fucking red chips, so. I mean, if you could put 2 in between each, just make sure there's a 4-lane row somewhere for us to put a.
That's too late. It's done, Kyle.
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't like that.
Why?
I would say. So I don't think we need more than one lane of batteries and plastic.
1 lane.
And then.
It says you're being dropped from the game. Are you okay?
I don't see myself being dropped from the game.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I am lagging. I'm just not actually trying to do anything right now. I should turn some shit off.
Oh, are you getting coxed, Kyle?
I don't know. My game is freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, because you're getting dropped. You okay?
I think I'm okay. Oh, I can't move.
Sounds like you're not okay.
Am I roboting?
Not. Wait, if we only do 1 lane though, doesn't that make it really hard to like mix in other lanes?
What do you mean mix in other lanes?
Like if I want to take something off of a lane, oh, I guess I would just drop a splitter there, huh?
Yeah, that's what you do with anything, yeah.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
So you have room, 4 in between those 2. And then you probably only need like 2 or 3 in between anything else. I think you need 4 in between everything.
It gives us room, okay? Just in case, Coach. If we want to put roboports or whatever.
Well,
yeah,
4
or
in the middle for roboports, but I don't know that we need roboports.
Sure, but we can mix stuff in easier. It just gives us lots. It gives us lots of room to do activities, okay?
Okay. I almost feel like we can go bigger than 2 on green chips, but I guess we've never really run into an issue.
If we max 2 lanes on blue track on green chips, then I will be shocked, okay? But look, now we can expand if we need to, all right? Because we have it there.
All right, I suppose that's true because we're putting 4 lanes in the middle. Therefore, we have room to expand if necessary.
Yeah. True that.
Maybe I need to rejoin this game.
Maybe you need to reset your internet.
I think my internet's fine.
You were going a little robot-y on Discord.
Okay. Well, then maybe it's not fine.
It's not fine, Kyle.
Your automatic belt, right? I can just jack a bunch of it somewhere? Oh,
Yeah, there's about
there
300
it is.
in there.
Give me all that belt. So on one side of the bus is nothing but science. And then on the other side is where we'll put like green chips at the very beginning, I think.
When you say nothing but science, do you mean nothing but like science labs or just the stuff making science?
Science packs.
Okay,
Yeah,
do you want the
making
science
packs.
Do you want the labs to run parallel or perpendicular?
I don't think it matters as long as like last time what you did, you blocked production in the future. So
Okay,
as long
so
as
I'm gonna
this-
make
as
it
long
run
as
parallel instead of perpendicular then, Kyle, just for you, okay?
It just needs to not be like down the line.
Which in order to avoid making it down line, we would want to run it alongside in the same direction then, right? Or
Yeah,
parallel?
just make sure it's above.
Parallel. I'm running it parallel, okay?
Parallel is fine. Parallel
Yes.
is fine.
Oh, guys, you should have seen today. When we went to the store, I backed into my parking space, so I parallel parked. You guys would have been so proud of me. Holy shit, Kyle.
What did you say they were?
We got into an autistic, or a retarded as fuck conversation.
Yeah,
about-
because you remember I mentioned you backing into your parking spot when we went out to eat.
Oh, yeah, I parallel parked, yeah. Oh, yeah,
And then
you
you
remember.
talk about how some people, what were some people thinking that parallel parking?
People were saying that parallel parking meant the way that you parked and not the type of parking space. So like I mentioned, because we were talking about driving or something, I mentioned like, oh yeah, so like there's, you know, you parallel parking in the United States, like, oh yeah, in some of these parallel parking spaces, you can pull in, like you can just pull in if there's enough room. Sure, you don't have to back in. Or like, and people were like, wait a second, what? It's not parallel parking if you don't back in. And I was like, well, no, like parallel parking has to do with the, you know, being parked parallel to the street. And they're like, no, you have to do the parallel park maneuver to back in to make it parallel parking. I was like, what? And so we got into like a 45-minute argument on this fucking idiocy.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Am I gonna play PUBG later? Probably not, but maybe, but probably not.
but maybe. What happened to RNA?
He's a massive fucking cucklord who's journeying into the world of adulthood. Apparently he has some vacation time from the army, so he's gonna go spend like 23 days with his fucking girlfriend. I don't understand how the fuck anybody could think this is a good idea, but...
Maybe he really likes his girlfriend?
Enough to spend 3 weeks off the fucking computer? I couldn't do it. I don't... Maybe I could for Nathan. I don't even know that. I might sacrifice him to the internet gods. I don't even know, dude. That's a long fucking time.
Where is he? Well, what is he doing?
Not being on the internet. Why the fuck else does it matter? What else could he's not going to fucking Mars or some shit?
Oh, maybe he's going to fucking Mexico. Or he's going to something. He's going to like Hawaii or something.
What are you gonna do in Hawaii for 23 days? You think he's gonna go explore some volcanoes?
Fuck yeah, man. You chill.
I feel like that's not what is going to happen.
I don't know. If you're spending 23 days off the internet, I would think that you would have you're doing something like you're going on a vacation. That's what I would think.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. In fact, one might say that I do think that.
That's a fallacy. Have you seen any of the Wendy's Twitter stuff?
No.
Oh man, dude. Apparently Wendy's got some new like social media marketing to run their fucking Twitter, and it's some pretty fucking funny shit. Have you ever bored?
I might have seen one thing, but I don't.
Yeah, if you ever bored, you can look up like savage Wendy's tweets, and these are legitimate. Like, it's got to be a group of people. I doubt it's one person. This has got to be like a group of people, because these are like some of the sickest fucking burns. Like, holy shit. Hold on, let me find
what we got here.
This most recent one that I saw. 1 second.
Wendy's, can you give me relationship advice? If you're asking a fast food Twitter, this relationship might be doomed. Okay, some of this is okay.
This is a good one I read today. Dude, this is funny shit, dude. That's some good clapbacks, Kyle. That's some savage shit. Oh, now all of the fucking weeb dipshits are making like animated porn and shit over. Good job, weebs. Ruining everything once again. Great job, guys.
Where did that come from?
Where did what come from?
That comment.
Oh, because weebs are making like animated porn and hentai and shit off of the Wendy's girl now?
Oh, off of the Wendy's girl. Okay. See, there was a fact in there that I didn't get.
Oh, don't worry, I got you.
That connected it to the previous conversation. And without that fact, I was very confused. Does anime ruin everything?
No, I just hate fucking weebs.
Maybe it's just all... Steven, maybe all the people on Twitter just give it a bad name. You ever think of that?
Maybe, Kyle.
I actually don't know.
This room is now in 10 minutes followers only mode. What, Steele just set his chat to that? Why? What's happening? Are they giving him a hard time? Oh, look at Steele. 1,200 viewers. Leached his way to the top of PUBG, built off of my back.
Well, they started off watching someone entertaining, and then they decided they wanted to see the best.